It was one of my first relationships, and I was with her for 7 years. And when we broke up, the pain of it was so intense.
Stop being such a pussy.
I couldn't even tell my family.
Yeah.
Who gives a crap? I don't care.
Right.
My family didn't want to hear about it, even though they knew I was living with her and they knew that now I wasn't. No one brought it up. Nobody said, "Are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And that is very, very isolating and lonely.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel that you're sort of doomed by being gay.
Yeah.
Which is no different than being left-handed or having blue eyes.
That's incorrect.
People don't choose it. Who would choose it? It's not an easy life, but it's a true life if you know that that's who you are.
You sound like a hysterical, bleeping, snowflake, lesbo bleep.
Bingo.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight. He has the beard to which I aspire. Turless is here. Welcome back.
Howdy.
Saddle up, partner.
And hey, look who's back after a couple-month break. Our friend from Canada, Mark Aaron, is here as well.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hello. Hi.
I've not hit my Mark buttons in a while.
Remember that, Mark? We'll get him in. We'll get him in tonight.
How was your time away?
What a story, Mark.
It was fabulous. Thank you.
Do you care to elaborate, or you just want to leave it as a private matter?
I had to do online schooling for the first time and online classes, which are hell.
Was it real or total bullshit? I know it's a professional matter, and I won't say more, so I imagine there's some reality to it.
No, it was just a real estate license in another province, and so yeah, it's a real thing. And the tests were the hardest thing I've ever done. So I have a new respect for people. It was it was taxing. 3 hours.
You passed, right?
Like I passed everything, but they're like, don't look away from the camera, don't breathe, don't talk out loud to yourself, which is hard because you want to swear a lot. Yeah. Thank you for asking, Matt.
And so if people want to buy prized Canadian real estate, what provinces are available through Mark's certain? You don't have to answer.
Now between my wife and me, Quebec, all of Quebec and Ontario. So if you want to get the hell out of Toronto,
all right,
what's the call?
Yeah, if you're looking to get the hell out of Toronto, or if you're an Indian looking to invade Toronto, perhaps. Yeah. Okay, either of those.
You know who to call.
Either of those two things. All right. Well, in the news for discussion tonight, Democratic Socialist candidate Francesca Hong loses her bid for Wisconsin governor in the Democratic primary. She was favored according to the polling. So is the DSA weaker than we thought? Or were there shenanigans? Or maybe both. Something happened in Milwaukee County. Alec Baldwin knows someone is responsible. He can't say who that is, but he knows it's not him. Some people did something, though. Dr. Fauci was privately texting in 2021 about the risk of miscarriages for pregnant women taking the COVID vaccine while telling the public that there is no risk. So yet another reason for Dr. Fauci to get the Big Bird costume in Town Square. Of course, he never will.
How did he find the time to screw up in so many ways?
Well, does anybody actually believe that Dr. Fauci just made mistakes? Is anybody doubt the evilness of this guy?
They should do a congressional hearing or some kind of thing that'll get him in trouble.
If only they shook their fist at him more.
More fist shaking.
Hey, we got a new attorney general though, Mark, and he's trying some stuff, as we'll get to in a moment. So maybe the Fauci charge is coming. I don't know.
Well, we had an SPLC arrest, so
exactly. That's exactly what I was referencing. So we'll get into that in a moment. Yeah. So at least some pieces are moving. The Massachusetts governor signs a bill legalizing abortion to birth, while a bunch of deranged women clap around her. Thankfully, there was not a single man in the room to express his irrelevant opinion, and it was nothing but a woman's celebration. So we'll check in with that. Mark's going to hang out for first half of the show or so. Mark's getting, you tell me, Mark, but you'll probably have to take off at some point, and we'll let you go whenever is necessary.
Thanks. I'll try and make it to Superchats if we can pull that off.
Sure. Turless will be here for the full tour. Later, we'll take calls, voicemails, emails. If you'd like to call the show live, you can do that through the Discord server linked in the description. There are instructions and help available on the server with friendly producer Tim. If you'd like to leave a voicemail for the show, there is room in the voicemail inbox. You have the next hour or so to leave a voicemail for the show tonight. If you'd like, numbers in the description as well. Man, that's the one thing we didn't get with your audio engineering, Turles. Your click is like the loudest click.
My bad.
No mouse clicking. No, Turles and I were sitting down and trying to fine tune.
Trying to keep that to a minimum.
Yeah, we're trying to get Turles sounding as awesome as possible. That's my fault because I was Turles's audio engineering assistant. So we'll see if we can get the clicks under control. But I don't know.
I need a silent mouse.
Yeah, we need a suppressor on that mouse.
Yeah.
Before we get into all of that, got to say hello to our featured listener-owned business for the evening. That's our friends at Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing. And before we do, don't forget my new retro video game is available for pre-order as well. Hey, have you heard I now have a video game? Thanks to our friends at Soren Games, Matt Christiansen Media Mayhem is shipping soon. It is a retro-style Game Boy Color game that will play on any of your devices, your PC, your Mac, your phone, or tablet. Join me in my quest to perfectly cook French fries, 425, bring vehicular justice to cyclists while avoiding ethnic truck drivers, evade Soviet pursuit, and much more, all to achieve my ultimate destiny, confronting the masked journalist, defeating her, and earning the front page hit piece that is rightfully mine, and wearing the coveted golden flannel to mark the achievement. The game is full of bits and references, secrets, and even extra titles from our friends at Soren Games, games within the game. You even get an arcade version of their Leering Center game. Collect the cash and evade the oversight. It's all just $10. Learn more at mattchristiansenmedia.com/game. That's mattchristiansenmedia.com/game to pick up Matt Christiansen Media Mayhem, playable on all your devices. Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing makes high-quality, handmade premium hardwood cutting boards, charcuterie boards, serving trays, and more, all of which are great gift options or the perfect piece to class up your kitchen or anywhere else in your home. Blake at Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing made me a cutting board engraved with my very own channel logo, and it looks amazing. It's been a part of our family kitchen for a long time now. It has not aged a bit. And in addition to the quality, that's the best part about Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing's products. They are fully customizable, not just in materials, but in engravings too. So if you'd like to personalize a gift like that one, that can be arranged. Or if you have any other custom hardwood project in mind, no matter how big or how small, Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing can make that a reality for you. Just get in touch at KinneoWood.com. All Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing products are made in Colorado from premium domestic hardwood sources. Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing is the absolute highest quality woodworking that will last you forever. The listeners of this show get 10% off all Kinneo Mountain Woodsmithing products and services using promo code MATT10 at checkout. That's promo code MATT10 for 10% off everything at KinneoWood.com, KinneoWood.com, promo code MATT10 at checkout. Check out my retro video game at mattchristiansenmedia.com/game or mattis.gay/game. We'll get you there too. If you are interested in that coveted golden flannel edition that's available through the Kickstarter pre-order only. There is 1 week left in the campaign. So you can get the special edition only for 1 more week. The game itself will be available for purchase after the fact, but the special edition time is running out. All right, that is crazy, dude. I can't believe how loud these clicks are.
Oh, sorry. I'm over here switching to Discord.
Yeah, or maybe if we if you have time on the fly, just to go into your noise gate and raise that threshold a little bit.
Oh, sure, I can do that.
Sorry for the on-air production here, but if we do the click bit the whole show, people are gonna have our head rightfully for that. Yeah. Anyway, mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals for all my special offers from listener-owned businesses as well. Deals by listeners for listeners. Mark, it looked like you had a thought, no? Oh, well, Mark's muted. So the production is going great so far.
I'm coming in full speed, Matt.
Yeah.
You missed me, didn't you? I
didn't hear anything you said. What was the thought?
You missed a real opportunity with the URL for that game. It should have been mattis.gay.
Well, then I'd have to buy an entire domain, and it's not like domains are very expensive, but
like
that's commitment to the bid.
You got to go all in.
Yeah. Well, one piece of housekeeping before we get into the news. There will be no show next week, August 19th. I will be on family vacation. The Sunday streams will have no interruptions. There will not be short videos next week either. So no stream, no videos. Sunday streams are as normal. Back to regular schedule Sunday, August 23rd. The Wednesday stream will return Wednesday, August 26th after this week. But as you mentioned, Turles, breaking before the show.
That's a huge bitch.
Or maybe breaking that chair, actually. Former Southern Poverty Law Center Chief Financial Officer Heidi Byrick has been arrested on fraud charges. So there you go, Mark. Our DOJ is actually doing stuff. Can you believe it?
Is this related to the buying Nazis?
Exactly. So I had wondered when that indictment dropped.
One of whom slept with her, but
a few months ago, I thought, well, why are they charging the organization but not the people? And apparently, it just takes some time to build the case against the people, I guess. Okay. Because CNN is.
I'll take the L on that one then, because pretty sure I had said nothing is going to happen, like always.
Well, at least they're trying. We don't know if we're going to get a conviction, but she is now charged with wire fraud conspiracy to submit false statements to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to conceal money laundering. Again, all of this related to the broader fraud scheme that the DOJ alleges against the SPLC, the idea being that while taking donations from people to stop the hate, they were actually paying the haters to keep hating so that they had a perpetual reason to exist. And as you mentioned, Heidi Byrick is accused of funneling a bunch of money to her Nazi, whatever, I don't know what exactly he was, but her boyfriend who was a member of the Nazi or white supremacist clubs. So in addition to
skinhead,
maybe,
but is that money laundering though? That's interesting.
Supposedly they concealed the flow of money somehow, though I don't have those details in front of me. But yeah, so for Heidi Byrick, it's not just that they were taking donations and repurposing them fraudulently. It's potentially that she was getting a personal financial benefit through this neo-Nazi white supremacist allegedly boyfriend guy of hers. So a lot of angles on her potentially.
Woke in the streets, chud in the sheets, many such cases.
I think it's an ongoing, that's what they want.
Yeah, we'll see if Todd Blanche, the newly confirmed Attorney General, can successfully prosecute this case. It's along with Comey. These are his tests, and I don't think the Comey case is going anywhere, but maybe that's a process, is the punishment thing. This case against Byrick and the SPLC more broadly seems, it's not that the SPLC has no defense. They're going to say that actually we were just doing spy ops. We were watching them. Mm-hmm. We'll see if that defense holds up, but I think the case against the SPLC is overall much stronger than the case against Comey and some of the other supposedly political prosecution. Well, I mean, the Comey one is political. It just is. But the point is, it's a revenge political prosecution. You're going with it. All right.
Don't you have to have, I've never looked into this kind of thing, but don't you have to have special licensing to do private investigation, that kind of work?
I don't know. I assume some states maybe say you do, but I guess I've never looked into that.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the extent of the work. If you're actually spying on people to make sure it's not stalking or something.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I had heard all of the funniest names out there.
Diego Fago.
Kaniga.
Luke Nigaman.
The list goes on. And if you tuned in Sunday, my favorite one recently was College of Idaho softball third basewoman Abriana Lesbo, newly committed Abriana Lesbo, playing third base for the College of Idaho softball team. Now, I was not prepared for this submission because, of course, many in the audience keep me up to date on the funniest names circulating. Thanks to listener Ben for this one in the MC Club Discord server. Here's a report on a woman recently arrested in South Carolina on a murder charge. And her name is what?
Breaking news out of Greenville. Police have arrested a woman and charged her with murder following a deadly shooting this morning. When police arrived, they found Kadurian Dorsey unresponsive inside one of the apartments. Investigators quickly developed Samantha Rape as a suspect. She was arrested and is currently being held at the Washington County Regional Correctional Facility on a murder charge.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah, that's the kind of name where someone calls it in. You're like, yeah, you're punking me, right?
Yeah, it's your name. Rape. Your own name will literally get you censored on like TikTok and YouTube to some extent.
Maybe she's Samantha G. Rape, so she can go by Samantha Grape when she has to.
She should pronounce it like Rappy or something.
To be clear, Rape has not been accused of rape. She is accused of murder. That's all.
Oh.
But on Sunday, she's accused of shooting a man dead at an apartment complex, reasons and motive unknown. Now, in the event of her acquittal, because I'm sure Samantha Rape actually didn't do anything wrong. It's all just a big misunderstanding. So in the event of her acquittal, I am really hoping to arrange a date with Diego or Noah so we can get the best hyphenated name of all time. Samantha Rape Kaniga. Yeah, she only hard R's the rape, not the Kaniga.
I just want to see the genealogy on this one. You know how like people were named after what they do?
It has to be a joke, man.
There's got to be historical.
What's the etymological history here? Yeah,
she had to have changed it to rape for some reason.
What did your great grandfather get up to?
But you know, as I said, when our last kid was born, I think maybe I've done this for every kid. But when you write the name in there, as far as I'm aware, you have full discretion on what the name is. So if I wrote a slur, if I wrote rape, don't they have to accept it?
Yeah.
They can't tell you that's not your name.
Can you change a last name without having to go through the court?
Likewise. Well, does the court get to tell you, no, you can't name yourself that?
I don't know.
They have discretion
on
those matters?
Plate? Like, do they have no
I don't know.
No certain terms?
If we can get Samantha Rape on the show, I'd like to hear her side of the murder accusation, but I'd also be curious to know procedurally and maybe historically in terms of your family, how did you get the name Rape? We're all curious.
Yeah. And is your middle name Don't?
Or stop.
Just throw it in there, you know?
Yeah.
Play safe.
Well, hey, speaking of rape, and by the way, Turless, we'll probably have to take down that threshold a little bit because now we're clipping a little. So, audio engineering on air. But I don't know what we're going to do about that clicking. So I guess just don't click your mouse.
Yeah, I got kind of aggressive on it, but so can you still hear it though? Has it been coming through? Yeah.
So the click is just the loudest click in the world and the threshold's too high. So take it back down and just try to click with discretion.
Maybe it was, because we went up from 3
I'll
to
use a
4
little
on the game,
alt tab to get back and forth to Discord maybe.
Or put your mouse all the way like 6 feet away and just reach for it.
Oh, there you go.
Sit on your hands.
Relocate it.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Just putting this out there too. I had to open a window, so if you're getting background noise, you shouldn't. But if you
no, Mark is a professional audio engineer. He sounds pristine.
I come from a long line of them.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of rape, for some reason, socialists and communists have a very very difficult time saying rapists should be imprisoned. A couple Sundays back, Matt P. and I were listening to Nick Shirley talk to a New York City woman who said that she favors abolishing prisons, as many Democrat, socialists, and communists claim to. She even favors rapists remaining on the street because she herself had been raped, and prison time will not fix her rapist's heart. So she's not in favor of that.
Poverty causes rape, right?
Of course.
We just have to give them a house.
That's what I heard.
Socioeconomic factors. Yeah. Well, apparently the DSA National Political, this woman is a member of the DSA National Political Committee. Frances Gill is her name. She has a similar philosophy with regard to criminal justice. She says abolish police, abolish prisons. And when asked how society should deal with rapists, she said she doesn't want to discuss hypothetical. People only get hypothetically raped. That's not real.
So if my daughter is assaulted and raped, is there any agency that would seek to find her assailant and bring him to justice?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
What
absolutely.
would it be if not police, and where would he be if not a jail?
So I guess I really want to avoid getting kind of caught into these hypotheticals and talk more about the reality that we're actually facing right now, which is that we're spending absolutely outrageous amounts of money on police and policing, and we're not spending money on things that actually make people safe.
Okay.
So crime is the hypothetical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, my understanding is people actually do get raped. Like, that's not a hypothetical. That's a thing that really happens.
So I've heard.
In fact, remember a
India
thing called
is calling right now.
The same people. I don't know about Francis Gill personally, but people of generally similar political persuasion over the last decade talked about rape culture all the time. Was it only hypothetical rape culture, or was there a real rape culture? And we talk about outrageous government costs, because I'm glad that you're suddenly right wing. I'm glad that you're suddenly very hawkish about deficit spending and about making
Right.
sure every tax dollar counts.
Oh, it's the return of the Tea Party. Dang.
Well, yeah. Welcome, Francis. Arresting and imprisoning rapists is among the greatest uses of my tax dollars, actually. Of all the waste that's out there, it's hard to call that wasteful, even if it costs $1 million to do it per rapist.
Yeah, honestly, that is money well spent, if ever there was any, when it comes to government funding.
Yeah, did she have another suggestion of listen, we have to stop spending money on stopping crime and start putting that money towards?
As far I've not listened to the full segment. So
no answer. Oh, I guess that the headline answers my question.
I'm assuming she didn't say
crime is hypothetical. Why would we need to find another thing to spend that money on?
Yeah, I'm just assuming she didn't go on to say, actually, just kidding, the reverse of what I said. We definitely should arrest and imprison criminals. The socioeconomic factors thing, I gather, is the argument that if we just invested, I hate the way they use the word invest that way, because that's not what investment means. But if we just use the government to buy houses and stuff for people, then they wouldn't rape anymore. They'll still rape all the time. In fact, if you put them in an apartment complex in closer proximity to other people, they'll probably rape more. But
yeah, and these are the same people who turn around in the next breath and bring up Epstein.
Yeah,
right?
And for that matter,
poverty,
who kept expanding the
why.
definition of rape over and over and over again.
rape
now,
culture, bro.
It's like what the whole regretted it afterward. Both people are drunk, that kind of thing.
Yeah, expecting her to have an answer for what your policy is going to be is basically rape.
All right, we'll stop raping her.
No longer
now.
a hypothetical lady.
Yeah, no more raping her, but you guys may be shocked to learn that this buffoon somehow has over $500,000 in student debt.
I think what we're seeing is that people who are highly educated in this country were promised this path of economic success. If you go to college, if you get the degree, if you go down that path, you're going to be guaranteed economic success. But really what we're seeing is that there's this huge downward mobility problem, where people are putting in the money, taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. I have $500,000 in student loan debt personally, and not seeing that translate into actual economic success, because our society, the scales are so tipped in one direction to benefit the rich and the wealthy.
What, are you retarded?
How? Even if you're a lawyer or a doctor.
Like 7 doctorates?
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
You don't. I need to know what these degrees
for that
are.
much student loan debt.
We have met peak sociologist. None shall be above her.
Yeah. By the way, Tim provided me some information on what her proposals to stop crime are. I don't know if this is a comprehensive list, but Tim says one of the things that she said would make things safer is, quote, well-lit streets. Well-lit streets. The rapists won't rape you if they're blinded by the light. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I guess that $500,000 in college debt was worth it.
I need to know what those degrees
are. Mind like that.
That's why she gets. That's what you pay all the big bucks for, is so you can have smart takes like that.
Yeah,
listen,
definitely.
If I didn't
we should
go to
allow
college. I wouldn't know that there's no differences between people either.
This person who cannot manage her own life or finances clearly can manage everybody else through an authoritarian government. We should hand over all levers of power immediately. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what mountain of useless crap did she learn? And who are their parents involved? Was she if anybody should be criminally liable here beyond the rapists, maybe the people that advised her to do this sort of thing. We should take a look at them.
That's 5 years at $100,000 a year. See how smart.
Yeah,
how good.
You don't even have that. You don't even have 7 doctorates or whatever it takes.
You can do arithmetic like that. I can't believe it.
But that's I don't even know what's the most expensive university in America.
That's what I don't understand.
Like more than $100,000 a year.
If you went to Harvard undergrad and Yale Law, or you went to, I don't know, MIT to whatever the elite medical schools are,
and lived on campus,
it is not $500,000. Or maybe I'm out of touch because I guess I haven't looked at it for a decade plus.
No, my theory would be she might have been in multiple programs at the same time, and that just goes to show how performative these programs are. That
she's an academic whore.
If I when I was studying engineering and you're taking 16, 17 credit hours, you do not have time for a second program. But whatever she was studying, I guess you could just stack as many as you want together.
Yeah.
Well, or she's full-time school and this is her 13th year, just a professional student.
A lot of these,
she's in her 30s and the whole thing is on debt. And this bullshit of I was told if I get a degree, I'm going to be successful. So it's not my fault. I borrowed $1 million. Bullshit. No one said study bullshit forever and you'll get rich. No one ever said that.
A lot of these Democrat socialists are in the same boat, though. They're candidates. Are the professional students that you're talking about, where they've been in school for over a decade, not because they're getting a valuable, worthwhile degree in something practical and important, but because they're just reading about bullshit and theorizing Marxist nonsense. And there's so much public subsidization of it that's a viable lifestyle. How do you think they become fantasy communists?
No one's going to say, get your act together. They're like, oh, I'm getting my PhD, so I'm above criticism, when they're just, messing around.
And speaking of subsidization, that's part of why it's so expensive in the first place.
Yeah, I can't believe it. The government got involved to make education more accessible, and it is less accessible than ever. Actually, it is very accessible. It's just the consequences of doing it without good judgment in the way that she did. You are now effectively shackled for life. You owe the equivalent of a house for these stupid pieces of paper that mean nothing to any employer. In fact, not that I'm in position to hire anybody, but if I was, if you showed me that stack of alleged qualifications that she has, I would consider it net negative. I would eliminate that person based on that resume of never doing anything productive.
Exactly. It used to mean you can show up on time, be studious, get work done, be dependable. Now it says the exact opposite. It's like, okay, you avoid responsibility and you're hiding from the world and you're going to become a socialist and then hate and want to kill successful people who work hard.
Stuff like this makes me respect the inner city gangs more. the group members in our urban communities. Why? Because they at least have the balls to point a gun in my freaking face to take my stuff. These people have wasted their lives and they have resentment, but what do? They run in cowardice to the government to do it. They don't have the courtesy to come to me face to face and point that sideways Glock where it belongs, to take my wallet. That's why I hate them so much. Anyway, there were primary elections in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and South Carolina last night. No major surprises other than, speaking of Democrat socialist candidate for Wisconsin governor Francesca Hong, who was strongly favored by polling, lost by a hair to Democrat establishment candidate David Crowley. Crowley beat her by just 0.5 percentage point.
Or maybe by 4 USB drives.
yeah, just enough USB drives in Milwaukee County. So Hong is a DSA member of the Wisconsin state legislature. Crowley is I'm not sure if it's one person. He's an executive. I guess he's the only guy. Milwaukee County executive. The polling was so strong for Hong that Crowley had actually left the race in July, and then he came back 2 weeks ago and he got the endorsement of incumbent Governor Tony Evers, and then he narrowly won. And Hong has been discussed widely recently just because she's loony, like many of these DSA people are. Abolish police, abolish prisons, abolish ICE, abolish the Senate, pack the court, all that nonsense. She said in 2020 that we should stop celebrating Thanksgiving. She backed off that.
This is her.
Yeah, she's the Thanksgiving lady.
But that's everywhere. They're like, oh no, it's just Thanksgiving is genocide. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think that's probably one of the things that killed her in the run up to the actual vote.
Was the Thanksgiving bit?
Yeah, because I mean, you can get pretty woke, but don't mess with Thanksgiving. Everybody loves Thanksgiving. Come on.
Even if they claim to hate it, all right? I know that you are stacking mashed potatoes and gravy on top of that turkey, putting the cranberries on top, mixing it all together. You know, that's one of the best parts about Thanksgiving is, of course, the leftovers, but it's not just the leftovers. You just make them into like a Chipotle burrito bowl. You know what I mean? You just throw it all in there. See what it tastes like. Put everything on a sandwich and see what it's like.
It's all salty and savory. Throw it in.
You guys do the same Thanksgiving in Canada, do you not?
It's exactly the same, just on a different day.
Oh, it's not the same day.
I have no idea. Yeah.
But they haven't erased that for being offensive to First Nation peoples or something.
They're trying.
Okay.
But it's
so bizarre,
for some reason it's not as attacked here because we don't have our Christopher Columbus to go after, and for some reason that's linked for you guys.
Well, Thanksgiving is specifically linked to the Pilgrims getting together with the local Indian tribe. So there's it's a stupid reason to get offended, but there's definitely a connection there to like the indigenous population of the time. So what do you guys like? What's the origin story for Canada's Thanksgiving? Is there one, or are they just sort of copying?
Question. I mean, what I know, I'm not a Thanksgiving historian, but I think it's the same as yours. Like we worked with the natives and had a lunch together, and then we're like, yeah, thanks for shit.
Thanks for this episode in Canadian history. What the hell is that?
I have magical Zoom powers.
Yeah,
I don't know how every time I do anything on Zoom, I make shit explode.
I forgot Zoom does that nonsense. All right. So, the other thing Francesca Hong said.
Mid-class, just to put it out there. Thanks,
very, very intelligent anti-white commentary from Francesca Hong. Where is it? Oh, yeah, here it is. A resurfaced 2019 tweet in which she said she ate 2 bites of her kid's cheeseburger at Culver's, like a burger restaurant. And then I told my kid that they ran out of ice cream to get out of there. Mostly she wanted to leave because she was on the verge of an anxiety attack. Too many old white people who didn't think we spoke English. So apparently that didn't sell well in predominantly white Wisconsin. But Francesca Hong was an absurd candidate. I'm a little bit disappointed because I wanted to watch the show of her campaign. You know what her real problem was, though? It wasn't all these past ridiculous statements that she was walking away from, or even whatever happened in Milwaukee County. Her real problem was skimping on the tape. Per Politico yesterday, Francesca Hong's campaign was running on tape, but she didn't even have a proper duct tape production. She ran a cheap masking tape production.
It's a disgrace.
For shame.
Quote, Francesca Hong's team is making press credentials for reporters at her election night party using Sharpies and masking tape after quickly running out of printed passes for media. An example of her insurgent campaign's remarkable rise despite remarkably limited resources. So if she had just used duct tape like a civilized person, maybe she's your next Wisconsin governor. Who knows?
You know, the urban youths have a certain disrespect for broke people, and I think we need to really lean into this, the brokenness of the Democrat Party.
There you go. I like the angle. I was going to go with does anyone know her? I mean, because Chinese and communism kind of go together. Yeah. But is she, the Chinese have also been in America for a very long time. But is she like a first generation come here?
No, of course she's a birthright. She's an anchor baby. Basically,
oh, fuck that bitch.
Her parents were here on, they were either student visas or here illegally. Someone can fact check me. I think it was student visas. So she has birthright citizenship, even though she shouldn't.
Yeah, I think
you guys got to fix that. We got to do the same thing here.
Yeah, it was a birth tourism
priority
thing.
Number one. We have to make it illegal for people to be able to run for politics if they are anchor babies or immigrants or anything. Sorry,
man, we really have such a glut of candidates like that in the last couple of years. It's crazy.
Yeah, if I see another Ramaswamy, I'm going to go postal.
He's your next Ohio governor, isn't he? I don't know where that stands, but
I don't think it's going to happen. I think all of my campaigning has paid off.
You're going to oust him. All right.
What do you mean? You're welcome, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Now, personally, I don't doubt that there were enough normie Wisconsin Democrats who would be turned off by Francesca Hong, sufficient for her to lose. But as previously mentioned, there were oddities, potentially shenanigans in Milwaukee County, of course, a Democrat Party stronghold, and of course, where David Crowley is county executive. So connect the dots if you're so inclined. But due to human error, they say. Due to.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Not due to. Due to human error. There was a delay.
Enunciate those T's, Matt.
In Milwaukee County delivering voting results. So they apparently deliver the vote counts by USB flash drive. I assume that's for good reason, so they don't get intercepted on the internet or something like that. But 5 of the 9 flash drives that delivered Milwaukee County's vote tabulations did not, in fact, have the vote counts on them. They did not contain the results. So here's Milwaukee County Elections Commission Executive Director Paulina Gutierrez.
2 things. There's the audit log and the results. What we uncovered was that 5 of the sticks had the audit log downloaded and not the results. It's a human error. These things can happen. So basically what we need to do is go back to the operations center and we're going to download out of those 5 machines the results and make sure that it's not the audit log.
This whole thing is fucking bullshit.
So
we're retarded. Let us run the government.
You know, if democracy is so sacred, you'd think we'd be carrying those around like the nuclear football or something.
I guess they delivered them all. It's just whoever was in charge of the data transfer did the fumbling. They had to go back to that operations center, re-download the results. They did that. And wow, the difference in Milwaukee County is just about enough to defeat Francesca Hong. Where's the map here? So Francesca Hong lost by about 4,000. Milwaukee County here, the difference is somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000, 2,500. So let me see if I can get this up a little higher. So whether it was completely legit or not, the fact of the matter is that slight difference in Milwaukee County was enough to put Crowley over the top. Make of that what you will.
Definitely close enough for a recount.
And did she concede today? I didn't catch that. Or is she going to try to do a recount or something? I don't know what Wisconsin law says about that. Yeah. So maybe that'll happen. But
just for some context here, the other guy, the Crowley, like, is he just like a run of the mill crook Democrat?
There's, as far as I understand, there's commies and commie light, and I don't know much about this guy other than establishment Democrats like incumbent Governor Tony Evers were backing him. And it seems like he's the choice of the Democrat Party establishment. So why would they want, theoretically, to oust? I mean, not theoretically. Crowley got back in the race and he got the governor's endorsement for a reason. But if there were shenanigans here with the vote count, why would they want to oust Francesca Hong? Because
isn't there kind of a civil war going on right now between your race grifters and your out and out communists, and they kind of want to go back to the classic.
Yeah, some do and some don't. Jen Psaki made some interesting comments recently about that. I guess she comes down more on the commie side because she was saying how
haven't you seen the picture with the hat?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So she was saying,
did she wear a commie hat? That rings a bell, but I got to go back.
She had a fluffy hat with like the actual hammer and sickle.
I got to go back and see it. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It was very cute.
What was her, sorry to sidetrack, what was her commentary?
Yeah, her commentary, well, she was saying how, she was on some podcast or something, maybe it was hers, I don't know. But she was talking about how the party insiders, according to her, used to select, essentially, primary candidates for people. And she is saying that now that she's not, now that she doesn't have an official position, she can talk about that more freely and how they're now free of those constraints, and now we have candidates winning primaries who were not selected by the Democrat establishment, which she seems very excited by.
Wow. Wasn't that common knowledge since Bernie?
I mean, it's common knowledge. It's weird to hear somebody like her say it out loud, though, who was once, so such a apparent insider.
Yeah.
Well, adding to the oddities, the polling was pretty drastically off. Oh, Tim's got a message for me. What is... he said Hong has conceded.
Oh,
the gap is apparently big enough that if she asked for a recount, she would have to pay for it. Her campaign would have to pay for it. And they can't even afford masking tape.
That's not going to happen, yeah.
Well, actually, they can't afford press passes. They can afford masking tape, but not duct tape. Anyway, adding to the...
take student loans for their campaigns.
Well, yeah, I mean, where do you think all the money went? What's her face from the DSA is her entire staff, all right? They're all desperate. So adding to the oddities, the polling was pretty drastically off. In the 5 most recent polls in Wisconsin from July 16th to August 5th, those all had Hong up by 11 to 18 points, with that margin actually increasing over that couple weeks, not decreasing. However, 2 of these polls were, or at least 2 of them, I forget how the dates break down here, but some of these polls were conducted before Crowley got back into the race. But these latest polls that still showed Hong up by about 20 points, 18, 22, that's
not the margin of error.
Yeah, I mean, that's after Crowley came back and was campaigning. So something was way off either in the polling methodology or something kooky happened in Milwaukee. Who knows? But Crowley definitely had an unexpected late surge.
They can fake some votes for sure, but that's too much. And this is really interesting because we know that typically they undercount Republicans and overcount Democrats. This is kind of more interesting because now we're seeing that they apparently even overcount the far left wokesters and undercount just normie Democrats.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we have yet another reason for Fauci to model a Big Bird costume in Town Square. Now, Fauci text messages from 2021 have been released by Senators Rand Paul and Ron Johnson. They recovered some 34,000 of these text messages and 522 voicemails from Fauci's government-issued phone. Most importantly, Fauci...
That's what kills me. He was doing everything on legitimate source, government hardware.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit, dude.
It's like a Greek fable about hubris, you know?
Yeah.
he was so convinced that he was just the most popular man on the planet, and that would probably be enough to shield him.
I think so. Yeah, it's like a weird, twisted Revenge of the Nerds kind of thing, where he's just got some attention and went straight evil. It was like,
look at his Mr. Burns ass right here. He's saying excellent.
No one ever liked
he's saying excellent right now.
Right.
Anyway, most important in these text messages, Fauci was privately texting then CDC Director Rochelle Walensky and then Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. I don't know if Mark also hates that Vivek. He probably does. Okay, so texting the CDC director and the Surgeon General about the risk of miscarriage for pregnant women in the newly released COVID vaccines, and said Fauci on January 25th, 2021, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant, I'm going to butcher this, cytokines? You guys great? Cytokines.
Yeah.
People have significant cytokines, storm, and fever after the second dose. This theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester, and Walensky responded affirmatively. Definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. And despite knowledge of the risk, at least theoretically, Fauci, at the same time, publicly advocated for pregnant women to take the shot, and not just that they should take the shot. On balance, the benefits outweigh the risks. It's that there were no red flags at all. This is in February, just a few days later.
Since the EUA and under the EUA, approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say. And this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
Okay, kill him.
Rochelle Walensky did the same, by the way. Calling all pregnant ladies, get the shot. This is from April 2021.
Importantly, no safety concerns were observed for people vaccinated in the third trimester or safety concerns for their babies. As such, CDC recommends that pregnant people receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay. And to be precise with what Fauci said, At the time in these text messages, he called the risk, quote, theoretical, as in not actually observed, yet would be the key qualifier, at least depending on your interpretation of some of the studies. There was a study released in April 2021, the same time that Walensky made that comment, showing a 12.6% miscarriage rate for pregnant women vaccinated in the first trimester. Now, some have claimed that there was an 82% miscarriage rate. I haven't done the deep dive. Apparently that number relies on some questionable or faulty methodology. So I'm
wrong denominator, whatever.
Yeah. And important to note that roughly 10 to 20% of pregnancies overall end in miscarriage. So it's possible, even based on these results, that the vaccine had nothing to do with those miscarriages, or it's possible that it had everything to do with those miscarriages. But the point is, for the biological and physiological reasons that Fauci himself discussed privately, there was a reason for pregnant women at least to be cautious, at least to exercise discretion in making that decision. And they, being Fauci and Walensky and the rest of this team, they were never honest about that reason for caution.
Well, that's why, just for some clarity there on my part, when he said that theoretically it could be a risk, he was basing that off of not results from the trials or
my understanding of what he's saying. I should go back to see exact. My understanding was he was making a medically informed theoretical assumption about what could happen biologically. Let me read exactly what he said.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure about.
Okay. I asked for a bit more, and another issue that came up, he said, many people have significant cytokine storm and fever after the second dose. So not pregnant women, pregnant people. You know, I'm sure they call them that.
Well, I think everybody gets a cytokine storm.
That's what he's saying, and he's saying
vaccine, right? So
theoretically, that's a problem for pregnant women in the first trimester.
Right.
That's what he's saying,
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And so you could argue safely, I think, that he's saying, listen, this is something that happens, even though we haven't seen anything from either the testing, if there was any, or the real world uptake of these vaccines. So I can give him kill me for, being devil's advocating Fauci here, but
all right.
Yeah, we're coming for you.
If it is just listen, I can't think of an analogy for it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he's saying here, this usually causes this, and that could be a problem, even though we haven't seen it in real world.
If he would have said that publicly, he would have cleared this entire controversy. But he never did. Did Fauci, someone want a research task, did he ever acknowledge any risk in the vaccine ever?
I don't think so.
I
can't
really
remember
don't think
a time.
so, because he was
even after he had a blood clot, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh,
I forgot that came out.
He was bound and committed to making sure as many people took it as possible, come what may.
I wonder why. I'm sure the science compelled it and not some sort of financial incentive for him.
It must have been the science. He and the science are one after all. So there's a mind meld thing going there. But I just got to say that.
Well, no, actually, because if you refer, there was something else that came out in. I had read it in his diary where he had said, if we criticize the vaccine, that could make it more difficult to get the mandates that we want.
Yeah.
So that was the end goal. The whole point was the mandates. The mandates were part of the lockdowns, which was part of the political. Everything was. It was just a shitstorm of evil.
I saw a post on Twitter earlier that is along those lines, because an insider was talking about how part of the strategy for lockdowns, for social distancing, all of these dumb measures, to the extent that they actually thought that stuff worked, they were hoping that would allow them, that it would delay the natural immunity response long enough so that enough people were still getting infected that they could try to, mass vaccinate more people. In other words, if too many people get sick and get better and know they're immune, that means fewer people getting the vaccine. So
we need boosters too.
Yeah. So for that reason, we need as few people as possible getting natural immunity. So It's just
makes
the
sense.
fact
that,
makes sense from a business perspective. Yeah,
I believe it was the same in the U.S. But when we had the mandates and the vaccine passports, they didn't include previous infection as one of the criteria that you could get your passport. It was only the vaccine. Didn't matter if you'd had COVID 3 times and recovered from it. They didn't care.
Yeah, you could, and we can test for
immediately there. So I was like, okay, this is absolute bullshit.
And we can test for antibodies, but none of that mattered.
Yeah.
And I gotta say about the pregnancy thing, a lot of people are getting too hung up on the exact numbers because it's like, oh, the 80% is wrong. Maybe it's more like 20%. Maybe it's nothing. It does not matter. Okay. Because the mere fact that Fauci was expressing these concerns privately via text, but publicly saying something totally different, shows that what we were doing was human experimentation. We don't actually know what the consequences of this shot are at the time on pregnancy, on first trimester fetuses. We don't know, and we don't care. Just get the shot.
Welcome to the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, the where it gets difficult, I think, is because is it necessarily illegal? I don't know. It completely discredits Fauci and any trust, but they'll just replace him with another stooge, and then he'll go on and make the same lies that are good for the industry. And this is the case in a lot of things, unfortunately.
Is this good for the industry though? Because sort of, it's sort of clear that this has undermined public trust in national medicine to an extreme degree.
Yeah, I mean, the hardcore believers are always going to be hardcore believers, but a lot of people went from being skeptical to like, okay, well, they're completely untrustworthy now.
Yeah, I'm never going to listen to anything they say ever again.
Yeah.
Well, I have another baby killing story here.
Ugh.
Yeah, right.
They're also celebrating killing babies in Massachusetts.
That's what we do.
Massachusetts just became the 10th state plus DC to allow abortion at any point in pregnancy, at least if a doctor deems it acceptable. A learned doctor, of course. Governor Maura Healey signed
as we learned in
bill.
COVID, doctors are not corrupt at all.
No,
and
never.
They'll only do something if it's completely ethical. So we can trust them.
Maura Healey signed the bill into law. It has been advertised as a law to, quote, strengthen abortion protections, because abortion is healthcare, as you can see on her sign there, which of course means what? Maximizing the baby killing. It is fully elective abortion for any reason at any point pre-birth. Again, if a doctor says it's okay. And supporters want to frame this as life-saving care for mom, or way out of some sort of discovery of a devastating, perhaps fatal condition for the baby. That's not what the law says, though. The law says that doctors can use their discretion. And so you'd like to think that most doctors would not sign off on killing an innocent baby, even if that baby has some kind of health condition that may be complicated over time. You would hope. But I mean, as discussed, do we all trust? All it takes is just a few, maybe even one morally corrupt doctor to do a lot of heinous crimes, a lot of murders.
I think it was her, I believe, on the press release, they had changed it from safe, legal, and rare to safe, legal, and accessible.
Yeah, why would it be
that's
rare?
Safe, legal, and
saying
plentiful.
Just about the opposite thing.
Yeah.
If there's no moral problem, who cares if it's rare?
Yeah.
So if a doctor says it's okay, it's okay. And unfortunately, there are plenty of deranged killer doctors. So we're going to find out in Massachusetts. Here is the governor and a bunch of supporters clapping as she signs the bill, just like they say it's supposed to be. No men involved in what is strictly a woman's decision. Here they are. I don't know who these people are. I assume state legislators or something. But of course it has to be strict. No, there is one guy, the guy with the phone. There's one man. And maybe two. I see a short hair in a short haircut in the top right. That might be a dyke, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. He's pretty
Token
tall.
XY.
Men are only involved if they want to keep it and get child support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I notice also in this room, no viable babies allowed. They didn't allow them in the room to express their opinion either. And I just want to emphasize how far this law is going. And again, Massachusetts is not alone. It's the 10th state plus DC for all the good trends that have been crackdowns legally in the states on abortion post-Roe. There is the reverse trend of expanding abortion in many of the states that believe there is no moral significance to this decision. Right. And just recognize how far this is going. Okay, remember, it was supposedly, the outrage was supposedly all about protecting Roe v. Wade. And Roe v. Wade was what? A supposed constitutional right to a pre-viability abortion. As in, if the baby could survive outside the womb, that's what's called viability. The alleged constitutional right protected the right to an abortion before that. Now, it's all about aborting fully viable babies. And when you think that you decide what a life is, and what lives count, that is inevitably the direction that it goes. Oh, those lives don't count. Those are inconvenient. Those have X, Y, and Z condition. Those aren't lives at all. It's okay if we kill them. In fact, it's not even killing because they're not lives in the first place. Clump of cells has now become what? What is the clump of cell equivalent of a fully developed baby that would be born tomorrow if you didn't dismember it?
Yeah. If you want to see what that looks like, I did put a link on a special channel on the member Discord. Nobody wants to look at it because they all know what it'll look like. But,
well, for anybody who claims to support abortion, or at least it's a regrettable decision that we must accept, I haven't seen the video you posted, but I've seen things like it, and without getting too graphic for people who don't appreciate that sort of thing, rightfully so, what I've seen in as sanitized terms as I can describe, the baby knows what's going on. Like the baby's trying to escape.
Is struggling.
What's going on? Yeah. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Also, I did want to point out on this new law, if we have additional states or even the states that have gone this far, if Massachusetts is a model, we are creating supposedly a professional class above morality and the law itself. Again, the bill says if a doctor says it, then it's okay. If a doctor determines it's fine, then it's fine. Now, doctors, on average, maybe they're smarter, maybe they have better judgment than the average citizen, but they're human beings. They're frequently wrong. They are susceptible to corrupt influences. They have their own interests at stake. Some are actually outright evil. And what we're talking about here in a late-term abortion, I mean, I believe that all abortion is murder, but maybe you don't accept that premise. Certainly a baby that would be born tomorrow, can we agree on that one? Unchecked power to commit murder, that's a big privilege to hand over. Your judgment is so scientifically informed and supreme that you can kill people and get away with it. The state is handing you that power. I hope that every doctor in Massachusetts is an upstanding, morally square individual. But of course, I know that's not true.
No. I mean, the most annoying thing is that by definition, abortion entails ending the life of the baby. Right? This isn't like they're viable and they could go give them up for adoption or do something else. And I think it's Tim Pool who's gone through this debate with a few people. And he's like, why do you need to kill the baby? You could, there's lots of, if it's viable, you could do a lot of other things with it. And then,
And just philosophically, even from their perspective, it's like, they know it's a human being, of course, and they try to confuse you with this talk about personhood, but it's like, oh, okay, but your best argument is that you're not really sure about the personhood of the unborn. So if there's any uncertainty, you err on the side of kill. That's
I'm God. There is no God above me. I'm God. I make these decisions. What I say goes. Or if you're a learned doctor, you're God.
Yeah, horrific. Lila Rose
and if you live in one of the other 40 states, just go get your 8th booster.
Yeah. Well, you could. Sorry. It might. Dark exactly. Joke. It might cause the spontaneous miscarriage anyway.
There you go. Well,
that was the joke.
Yeah, so you have the excuse. I was just doing what they told me.
Sorry, it almost went over my head, but I caught it right here and dunked it home, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. Good alley-oop. I appreciate that. Lastly, I want to talk about a brief podcast clip featuring Rosie O'Donnell.
That's a huge bitch.
Speaking of things I'm sorry to subject you to, there's abortion video, and then there's just a Rosie O'Donnell in bed with another woman. Now, Rosie, of course, is a very prominent lesbian. And she was on Amy Poehler's show this week, and she told the story of breaking up with her much older lesbian girlfriend many years ago and how her family didn't care about that pain. And they should care about that pain because this isn't anything that Rosie chose. This is who Rosie is. Being a giant fat lesbian is just like being blue-eyed or left-handed. It is not something you control.
I was with a woman who has recently passed away. Her name was Corby. She was a bunch of years older than me, probably like 10 or 12 years older than me. And it was one of my first relationships. And I was with her for 7 years. And when we broke up, the pain of it was so intense, and I couldn't even tell my family.
Yeah. Right.
My family didn't want to hear about it, even though they knew I was living with her and they knew that now I wasn't. No one brought it up. Nobody said, "Are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And that is very, very isolating and lonely.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel that you're sort of doomed by being gay.
Yeah.
Which is no different than being left-handed or having blue eyes. Like people don't choose it. Who would choose it? It's not an easy
One of
life,
those is great.
but it's a true life if you know that that's who you are, you know?
Yeah.
That's incorrect.
Sorry, you were saying?
One of those three things is amazing. The other one, so, and then the last one, yeah, you are doomed.
I assume you're a big fan of blue eyes. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. Yeah. One is like a gift from God of genetic superiority. That's what the
okay,
sign
Hitler,
is.
calm down.
All right.
And then the other one's just a slight deficiency, and the other one, yeah, you're going straight to hell.
Now, I'm confused by her story because she says she didn't tell her family about this lesbian girlfriend's death and then was mad that they didn't bring it up.
No. She said when we broke up, she said that.
Or sorry, the breakup, not the death.
I dated someone who just died, but I think she's talking about 40 years ago when they broke up. Her family didn't care.
Right. But she says, I didn't tell them about the breakup and they didn't bring it up. Well, how the hell would they know if you didn't tell them? How are they supposed to know that? Are they telepathic?
Fat lesbian.
Now, Mark is right to raise some distinctions about left-handedness and blue eyes because, of course, at least blue eyes, that's a genetic trait. Left-handedness, there's some debate about whether that has genetic components. I was looking at that earlier today. It's kind of unclear. There's maybe some weak evidence to say so. Maybe. Speaking of, Rosie has some
abused and you're became left-handed
experience with that too. But there's nothing genetic about being gay. And if there was a gay gene, activists like Rosie, they'd be all over it because, of course, it would justify their lifestyle. But there isn't.
Like Oprah with the fat gene.
Exactly. On a quest, but never found it. And then Ozempic came out and we never heard about it again.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Because whether the attraction itself is inherent, like same-sex attraction, is that a part of who you are or not? The behavior is absolutely a choice. And I see this response all the time. In fact, in the comments on this story, I saw, yeah, well, when did you choose to be straight? Well, when I decided to get married and have kids, become a father, those were all active decisions that had corresponding behavior. And maybe you say, yeah, well, you're predisposed to being heterosexual in that way. Well, maybe, but even if I was...
People are predisposed to cheat.
Exactly.
And you don't because it's wrong.
Right.
Like,
so
it's not...
Nobody's predisposed to be a good husband and father, exactly like you're saying. All men have a primal instinct to impregnate many women and then just leave. We all want to go out for a pack of cigarettes, but we don't. Why? Because our children depend on us. Our children rely on our commitment to our
we
wives.
Don't play basketball. It's gay.
A good man actually has to restrain his sexual urges toward their proper result, which is family, the construction of family. A bad man is a guy who doesn't restrain himself sexually in that way. Sexual morality always requires restraint on behavior, and yet the lesbians, the gays, whatever, the rest of the alphabet mafia, this is the one context where we say, actually, your sexual urges are who you are inherently, and you should surrender to them. You should embrace them. This is a standard that only applies to them, and unfortunately, it's destructive. Because it's not true. Like, just as a man who goes out and cheats on his wife and lives a sexually promiscuous lifestyle will inevitably suffer for that. He will not be happy and prosperous in the end. Neither will the people who buy into this nonsense. You'll end up old and grouchy like Rosie, and nobody wants to become a Rosie for a reason. However, when looking at this earlier today, I realized maybe I'm being a little bit unfair to Rosie because you mentioned abuse, Mark. she says that she and her siblings were sexually abused by her father. At least she alleges.
Well, I'm sure that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there's only like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
She says that her father molested her, but her father died in 2015 from cancer, and her mom died a long time ago when she was 10. So we have no verification of this. There was never any criminal charge or investigation or anything. It could be Rosie just saying stuff to justify herself. But if it is true, a huge percentage of gays and lesbians come from abusive situations. So it maybe what Rosie is mistaking for inherent behavior she can't possibly restrain, maybe it has something to do with an abusive past.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I think, sorry.
I was just going to say, I routinely, when I get into conversations about this kind of thing, people don't like to hear it, but there is a certain kind of malleability to human sexuality, especially during puberty, and it can be twisted and changed pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just from my personal experience, anyone that I've asked, it's always yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, and that's why, like, I don't come down on the proclivity, right? It's the carrying it out, because they are victims in a sense too, in that, hurt people kind of way. But you don't act out your base desires, or you may as well be a Muslim.
And I was going to say something about that too.
Jihadi Rosie, I can't wait.
This whole theory, there's a whole psychological, philosophical theory here that gives them kind of the impetus to construct these arguments. One of them being how unhealthy repressed desire is, and that kind of thing. It's gonna come out in some destructive way. And so that you start to see now that people in the Islamic world in particular, they're picking up on this, and they're like, hey, if I don't get my rape on, I'm just gonna go crazy.
Right. Yeah, they have sexual emergencies.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, all of Islam is just this codified excuse for like rape and murder. And incest.
And then you look at the niqab or the burqa. And it's like, why do we have to cover all that stuff up? Because the urges, they're just uncontrollable. We can't help ourselves.
It's all just a roundabout way of excusing rape. Like, well, it wasn't my fault that I raped you. It was your fault because you weren't behind a wall. Yeah.
If they wanted excused rape, they should join the Democrat Socialists of America. Yeah, a lot of them actually are in the club, I think.
Yeah. What are the voting patterns in Minnesota?
Yeah. All right, we got to get to our calls. So let's get into those. Hop in the Discord server if you guys haven't already. But before we take those calls, hey, have you considered joining the MC Club? Well, you should. Here's why. Hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show by becoming a member of the MC Club. For as little as $1 a month, you will enjoy a series of exclusive perks, including ad-free videos and podcasts, video calls, and a community Discord server with me and other listeners, loot box giveaways with channel merchandise, your name in the credit roll after videos and streams, and much more. But most importantly, you will help keep the duct tape production alive and independent from all those sinister forces of control. Join the MC Club at mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Linked in the description. Okay, Mark, do we have you in the server? We got a text situation to figure out, or what? Now I have no sound off, Mark.
And he's Mark, you're muted.
Duct tape all over the place. It's a disgrace.
All right, I'll just pull Caleb in here. We'll talk to Caleb for a minute. We'll see if we can get Mark back.
Oh, wait.
Oh, there we go. He's in, so we're good. Mark, if we can just get your mic unmuted, then we're good to go. Caleb, are you there?
I'm there.
Go ahead. Mark is having some... Oh, wait, he's not muted in... He is muted. Okay.
Hang on.
But,
I'm unmuted in both now, but it's coming through my computer for some reason. I hate Discord.
Okay, is the sound good enough for you to work with? Because I have good sound. So as long as you can tolerate it. All right.
I'm good.
We're gonna let Mark roll, and Caleb, go ahead. What do you got for us?
All right. So I had asked you a question quite a while back about how to actually have discussions with these far left radicals. and you just came up with the same answer everyone else I'd asked had, and that's, I don't know. They don't accept logic, reason, rationality, nothing. I finally got an answer this past Sunday, and it kind of rounds out the discussion we were just having, or you were just having. The answer is Jesus. Until their heart is changed, they accept nothing but what they want. God has given them over to their sin, as Scripture says, and that's why everything is going as it is. And that actually leads me to a new question. Do you think that we can avoid another civil war? Given the polarity.
It would depend on your time frame. Do I think ever? No. The question is when. Are we talking like avoid it short term or avoid it ever?
I don't know. I don't think we could avoid it ever.
Yeah, I certainly, even regardless of our current political tensions, our country has grown so big that if these tensions don't boil over and cause a split, there will be a tension in the future. That 300 plus million people, it's very hard to get together in any sort of political coalition. So,
especially a military coalition, like,
yeah,
it's not like it was in the 1800s. We've got a situation where, the states basically have no military power. The federal government has it all. And so what would the factions be? That's what I always wonder about this idea of civil war. It's like, who are we talking about when it comes to armed factions?
What do you think, Caleb?
Well, Texas does have its own military power. And I think a lot of the soldiers currently in the federal service would side with their state or group.
That's an interesting question too. I mean, I know that the first Civil War was not clean in terms of loyalties, certainly, and no Civil War really is. But do you think, let's say that whoever, Kamala, AOC, Pete Buttigieg, whatever Democrat gets elected in 28, if they decided we're done with lawfare, we're done with all the other scheming and nonsense that we tried, we're just going full on, like, invade the states and point guns at them, Abe Lincoln style, which, I know is a disputed premise for many. But
let's talk about that. No, just
would they, like, would the current military obey? And some would, but it's certainly not going to be universal.
It's going to be worse than that. It's going to be black bloc everywhere.
It's not even going to be like the real military branches. It'll be their de facto Antifa military.
Well, and that also depends on who has government control at the time. If it's a Democrat in charge, yeah, you might have some military forces willing to exceed their constitutional authority and attack civilians. If it's a Republican in power and the Democrats are fighting against them, then it's going to be black bloc times 1,000.
Well, thank you for the call, Caleb. I appreciate it. And I'm definitely not going to fight you on Jesus being the answer. That is a good hypothesis. So thank you for that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah. Okay.
So the statement, these MFers need Jesus, is always true.
There's a bumper sticker.
I believe it's y'all motherfuckers need Jesus.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Always true. But I will say, I don't, I see what you're saying, Caleb, but I kind of don't buy it as far as, like, what you're describing isn't so much a civil war as much as it is kind of mass rioting, civil unrest, kind of like Summer of Love on steroids, that kind of thing. I mean, I can see that happening. It's not really, although admittedly, now that you got me thinking about it, if they started to deploy some Palestinian style tactics, right, where it's just or Afghanistan, if you like, or Iraq, not Iraq, well, kind of, but the point is just never-ending unrest and so sort of just never-ending irritation, right?
Yeah.
And it looks bad to crush the resistance with the necessary force. Like we see that playing out in Iran right now, where it's like you have to tiptoe around, you have to do things very delicately. You cause any collateral damage whatsoever, everybody loses their minds. And so I guess, there's a world in which sort of guerrilla insurgents just cause so much pain that they carve out some new thing.
All right, look who's waiting to talk. It's our friend Skulldugger, and I got to get him unmuted.
Hey,
there we
Skull.
go. Skulldugger, are you there?
How's it going?
I'll give time for anybody to unmute me who has me muted.
I got you unmuted. You're good to go. Although you're right, everybody has to unmute you, potentially. So if either of you have Skulldugger muted from previous times on the show, just unmute him. But
all right, now I can hear everybody.
Yeah, okay. You're good.
I can hear you.
What do you got?
I just wanted to welcome Mark back.
Thank you, sir.
Remember that, Mark?
Who's that?
I also wanted to talk about, it was brought up in the live chat, and I think there'll be a super chat about it later on. And I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of color to it. And that is the fact that the definition of vaccine was actually changed by Fauci in order for the jab to actually fit within the definition, because it does not meet the traditional definition of vaccine because it itself does not promote an immunity through the pharmaceutical, and because it requires a series of additional shots afterwards. This is what we would have called a therapeutic.
Right.
At any other point in time.
What is the current definition then of a vaccine? Like anything that does anything ever?
I get
if it identifies
anything that might do something.
Yes.
Cytokine storm is a vaccine.
So the purpose of this vaccine was to essentially promote your body to be more receptive to making antibodies. It didn't actually help produce any antibodies. So that's why the weird thing about the jab is that it's actually most effective if you get the jab and then contract COVID. That's actually how it is its primary, and they knew that at the time. That's the way it was designed, actually. This thing was never designed to prevent you from getting COVID. It was designed to help your recovery once you did contract it.
Right. But and this is where all the conflict comes from, is that's not how they sold it, right? They sold it as a traditional vaccine that's going to stop you from, the whole thing was stop the spread, right? That's why they had to have the mandates and you weren't allowed in public.
That's what I was going to say too, is that this plays into something that they're trying to gaslight everyone about now, which is that they're trying to say, we never said that it stopped the spread, stopped in front. Is like, yes, you did.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Why wasn't I allowed in public for 18 months? Yeah.
Right. You said multiple things would stop the spread. You said masks and 6 feet of distance was gonna stop it in 2 weeks. That's what you said. You said 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That 2 weeks
flatten
took
the curve
2 years.
Does not stop the spread.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why they did this was because one of the reasons why this had to be a vaccine and not a therapeutic, and one of the reasons why other things that had some amount of effectiveness over it, like the hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, were not labeled as therapeutics, despite the fact that they had therapeutic value.
Yeah, that takes me back. The old horse paste. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, because in order to have a vaccine, you can't have any other therapeutics that
in order to get the emergency use authorization.
Correct.
Right.
In order to get the mandate, you can't have any other therapeutics that work. So not only were you lied to about the vaccine was actually a therapeutic. Because you can't make a therapeutic mandate. They wouldn't have been able to
the whole thing is just a giant fuck you of fraud. Like, we'll change the definition of a thing so we can mandate. Mandating a therapeutic is insane, but we'll
a therapeutic, which, like I said earlier,
vaccine to include therapeutics, so we can mandate it as if it was a vaccine.
Yeah,
and also every other therapeutic.
And also, if they were honest with it being a therapeutic in the first place, if they had told everybody from the jump, hey, this is something that that we want you to take, and you're going to have to take multiple boosters afterwards in order for it to remain effective. It doesn't actually, if they were honest about it and just said, it doesn't actually prevent you from getting it, but it can limit how severe your symptoms are going to be. I mean, how many people who got tricked into getting the jab would not have gotten the jab if they had been honest about it from the jump? But because they called it a vaccine, that automatically slots into some people's minds, oh, it's a vaccine, I have to get this.
Yeah.
Well, and how many people wouldn't have got it anyway if they weren't ordered to by the military or by their employer?
No. Well, and they're still making the measles vaccine comparison. I'm like, this is insane. You couldn't find two more different things that ever existed. If you don't know anything about vaccines or medicine, maybe you could make that leap. But for anyone who knows the first thing about viruses, that's insane.
It's not even like the flu vaccine, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what we were saying earlier about it being highly experimental, and despite the fact, pregnant women are told, even if they're considering taking fairly safe nutritional supplements, consult your doctor and find out if this is safe. We are so
every other can of stuff says not advised for pregnant women.
Right. So we are
Red
so
Bull,
hyper cautious.
don't dare drink that. Yeah.
About everything else, and yet with this, they were like, we don't really know what it does, but go ahead and take it.
Yeah. Thank you, Skull. Do you want a quick last word? Go for it.
But now we know they did know what it did to pregnant women, and they were still saying, "Go out and get it."
Yeah.
Just evil.
This is just evil. But I mean, who's surprised that the left wing doesn't care about unborn humans?
They don't even count as humans. All right,
or their mothers, for that matter.
I think I'm actually the last caller. So
look, well, Fwen's hanging out, so he might be able to join, but we'll see. We'll see if we can.
Fwen's had some technical issues, so
thank you,
if he
Skull.
works, great. If not, good night, guys.
Good night.
Okay. All right, we're gonna try Fwen and see if it works. Fwen, are you there?
Just input sensitivity.
There he is.
Well, now you're loud and clear. Are you ready to go live, or you need a minute, Fwen?
Oh yeah, let me get this stream muted.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you got for us?
Hello. I don't
Sounds
have
good to me.
anything for you. As far as topics, so I don't know. The vaccine stuff was. I talked to my mother-in-law briefly about it, and she's been pretty opposed to this the whole time, and she's gone mostly the route of they all knew what they were doing, Fauci knew about this, and I just I think I've mentioned before about the power of self-deception, and that even if they know it, or they should know it because they've read this, the results of this study, that should be clear that there's a risk. I think that people really can just convince themselves that it's fine and it's safe. And I don't know. I'm not hesitant to say that people do evil things, but I think people deceive themselves, and I don't know how much less culpable that makes them, but I don't know. I think that's interesting.
Well, people love to believe there's some wise, good man watching out for them. Even though you should do all of your research and figure out exactly what you're not just what you're injecting into your body, what you're eating, what your daily habits are, any number of things connected to your health. The reality is, how many people have time to do that for hours and hours all the time? You look to someone to exercise what you consider to be good judgment. And in this case, not that I don't think it happens in the food market or in any number of ways that we affect our health, but does anybody believe that the authorities at the time were actually just exercising good medical judgment, or was there some other incentive in play? I just think people naturally look for leadership in that way. And unfortunately, in this case, the leadership was particularly corrupted.
Yeah. Well, I feel like society, we're especially up here in Canada, because we had some of the strongest, most trusted institutions in the world since our inception, basically. And they're all going through the process of being completely discredited. And the same thing, you know, it's the U.S. has a little bit more of a sketchy past with, you know, some skullduggery.
But you said
it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these institutions have now just been gutted from the inside through DEI, through just crazy ideas, through corruption. And it's really hard for people to come to terms with the fact that that world is gone. And you know, the whole, I think the whole boomer class and a lot of, you know, another 50% of the rest of the population will just never quite be comfortable through a long time realizing that we're kind of in like Robinson Crusoe land. Like I'm sorry, those days of being able, of the person who's supposed to take care of it, taking care of it, those are kind of gone, and you're on your own to some degree right now.
Right.
And it's a hard thing to come to terms with.
We all use heuristics, right? Kind of reasoning shortcut and saying, well, this thing is generally reliable, so I will rely on that.
That's why I'm a racist.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like my shortcut go-to problem solver.
That is actually one example of a heuristic. It's like there are certain people who it's generally safe to cross the street when you see them coming. But yeah, and so they abused the heuristic of trust the experts. Yeah. And it's amazing how egregiously they abused that heuristic. They were like, yeah, surely this will never change, and we'll just browbeat everybody until they accept it, if they show any resistance. I mean, for goodness sake, Fauci actually said something like that. He's just like, well, you know, if you put enough pressure on people so that they'll lose their jobs, then they'll break down and do what you tell them to. And it's like,
I didn't know a half-assed Fauci impression was going to make a debut.
that was three-quarter assed.
All of my impressions are going to be barely half-baked, yes.
Sorry. I appreciate the effort to go for it. All right, Flynn, you got a final thought?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like two half-baked ones. What the hell did Fauci do between like leading the response to HIV and COVID?
He made COVID.
I'm right, but like, and I'm not in this world where I would know who was in charge of whatever his like allergy, whatever his like title was or whatever. Wasn't he like head of some like allergy something? Yeah. It was some
National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases.
Yeah. Like, but I just like, I don't know. I've tried to look back some, and I've seen people criticize him on like, you know, I've seen clips recently of like him talking about like day-to-day typical non-intimate contact between family members in a home could spread HIV.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, he was also wrong about that.
Yeah.
There's like criticism of like the medication AZT that was used. One of the things it does is suppress your immune system, and the like kind of a revisionist telling is like HIV doesn't actually cause AIDS. It was the HIV medication suppresses your immune system, and then you have a condition called AIDS. It's not a disease itself. So
right.
like he
AIDS
gave people AIDS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one would just be
and people at the time were fighting for the right to use other therapeutics that he was banning. I mean, go watch the movie Dallas Buyers Club. It's crazy because that was like a 10-year-old movie that was number one at the Oscars, and the villain in that is Fauci. And these are people saying, why can't we use the ivermectin and what was the other one? Whatever of
hydroxychloroquine
and ivermectin of their time, and that's Matthew McConaughey's character is the guy who's fighting literally Fauci is the villain.
I was just
going to
use sunshine and cigarettes, like all the homeless bums who just seem to not
cure everything. Yeah,
it is the best disinfectant. I hadn't thought about cigarettes, but it seems like that kills a lot. And booze.
Don't forget whiskey.
Yeah, exactly.
Whiskey in the morning, sunshine, smokes.
Thank you, Fwen. Appreciate
it.
I do want to throw a bomb. And like it's not quite a bomb and run.
All right,
but
drop it and go.
Yeah, was mass literacy a mistake because it allowed for the effective dissemination of propaganda?
No, I'm not going to agree with that.
He's absolutely right.
We have to go back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would go more with. I definitely think handing out cell phones to the second and third world will be what dooms us.
Okay.
Not just cell phones, but like all handouts in the third world were a bad
there you go.
idea.
Anything, handing out anything.
All of them. But
all right.
Literacy, no, actually one of our biggest problems right now is that everybody is becoming illiterate.
Yeah.
Maybe. Appreciate our callers. Thank you guys for calling in this evening. And Mark, we're at the bottom of the hour. So is this a good time for you to dip out?
Yeah.
I don't want to pressure you, but I just figure if we have a natural transition point, maybe it's
a
good time.
I was gonna, unless you're doing super chats next.
We are. You're welcome to hang out for super chat if you'd like.
I'll stick around.
Okay. Well, let me pop open super chat here, and Mark will hang out for that. Got to give a quick refresh here. Let's see. First up, Injured Guardian. So does Samantha sell oil? I'm a little bit Samantha rape, obviously, but
like rapeseed oil.
Rapeseed?
I mean, is that the joke?
I think
okay. Oh, thank you for explaining it. I forgot about rapeseed. What is rapeseed? I don't even know.
I looked it up once and I forgot.
Okay. Well, maybe Tim will text me about what rapeseed is. Pothead Wino. Matt and I once made love. Hope everyone is having a great week.
That's a big game, man.
It's still gay.
Wait.
Thank you for informing everyone.
That was the best ever.
You can't just do it like that.
All right. I do like that. It's. I love anti-jokes like that.
Yeah.
That's
always,
always
like straight up Norm Macdonald genius.
Yeah.
Eric Reinhold Jr. not holding my breath for any charges for that POS Fauci, even contempt of Congress, because it would ultimately force Trump to admit to doing something wrong during COVID. That's an interesting angle. And remember, Trump's list of mistakes, unfortunately, I think is getting longer, and obviously Iran is looking like number one. Okay. But you could make an argument for Operation Warp Speed and certainly at least the early handling of COVID insofar as Trump himself was saying, Dr. Fauci's awesome. Trust Dr. Fauci. We can all look to Dr. Anthony Fauci, the hero of our republic for several decades. He fought off AIDS and now he's going to fight this off too.
Yeah.
And then there's a bump stock stuff and arrest, whatever. But
to defend Trump, which I almost never do, they did fall out about a year in, I believe, and Trump was, that's when everyone started hating him because he was undermining Fauci. God forbid the president undermine.
But that's
a spokesperson.
That's the crazy thing, though, is that Trump actually had the correct instincts to some extent early on. He was even very positive about therapeutics like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
Bleach. He was big on bleach.
That's right. Yeah. The drink bleach scandal. Yeah.
Still going. But I still hear it.
I actually do agree. I think Trump doesn't get enough credit for the good things that he has accomplished. I think it's just human nature. We all focus on the negative, but I will say that my strongest critique of him ever, I am never going to hate anything about either of his terms as much as I hate the handling of coronavirus policy. I think that is by far the worst thing that he ever did. I think that was actually reason enough to vote against him in the primary in 2024. But it's kind of water under the bridge at this point, but I do think his handling of that was really not good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. Mole Daddy. This is what Skulldugger was talking about. They changed the definition of vaccine because the old definition included the idea of immunity. Yeah, I have to look at. I'm not aware of how all that played out. That's one piece of the history of this that I never looked into in detail. That damn click. You got to click with discretion, dude.
Oh, sorry.
This is like a fly flying around the room.
I moved it under a blanket, which kind of worked, but it made my hand really hot.
Well, we could try that, and then you and I will fine tune it before next time. Anyway,
I'm looking up the definition of a vaccine while you guys read Super Chat.
All right, the click suppression was a real thing. Then we effectively put a silencer on your mouse. And,
yeah, it does work.
All right. Think it on the fly. I like that duct tape solution. Very clever. Maybe it's a masking tape solution, Francesca Hong style. Buffy Chetty, for a good time, follow Mark Aaron and at Buffy Chetty, no homo.
I'm not gay.
Do you know this person, Mark? I don't.
Sorry, what? Hey, can you read that again?
Buffy Chetty. Buffy Chetty says, for a good time, follow Mark Aaron.
Yeah, follow me on X.
At Liberty M. Aaron, linked in the description.
We're mutuals. He's a big time, long time listener of the show.
Well, if he's a friend of Mark's, he's a friend of mine. Thank you for tuning in and for
vaccine
supporting
definition
the show.
and meeting. Let's see. Merriam-Webster. A preparation that is administered by injection to stimulate the body's immune response against a specific infectious agent or disease.
Okay.
Okay, I got to read that again. A preparation that is administered to stimulate the body's immune response against. Okay, yeah. So they did change it.
What was the prior definition, though?
It probably
would have been to. I mean,
like it had some actual virus component,
like that preparation part of it, because it would be stimulating the immune response directly, not preparing the body for whatever.
Yeah, but it's that wording is to stimulate the body's immune. Like, does that mean create immunity?
No, see,
that's really
again, it's like
really gray.
Starting
wording.
out with the word preparation, it's like we're facilitating the conditions in which.
Well, no, I think by preparation, like they're using preparation as a noun, as in like a formula.
Right. Okay.
Is administered by injection to stimulate the body's immune response, but to stimulate. But okay, so then what? Then we'd have to go. What's the definition of immunity? Now, does that mean? Because by this definition, it should still create immunity, right? But then they added that's one. If I go to 2, a preparation.
It all depends on what Pfizer says. That's what the definitions are.
Now there's the second definition: a preparation or immunotherapy that is used to stimulate the body's immune response against non-infectious substances. Okay, that's not it either. Nah, I don't know. Because this is why I was like, when they says they changed the definition, I looked up CDC's definition, like who's they and which definition.
Yeah.
Because like the dictionary goes by common parlance, and I still use vaccine the way it was used before.
So. Buffy Chetty adds, is there any way we can get the colored guy and Mark Aaron on at the same time? Joshy Boy's gone forever.
You missed those, man. We did them a few times.
You guys,
he's gone forever.
Yeah, he decided to step away from the show, Mark Aaron style. In fact, he found out that Mark wasn't going to be on for a little while, and he said, I can't go on.
He couldn't live without me.
No, he's likewise, he's got stuff going on.
Goodbye,
so he'll pop in.
Nigga.
He'll pop in once in a while, but he's not a part of the show for now because of his own necessities otherwise. But, Joshy will be around. He's not leaving entirely, so we'll see if we can make that happen again one day. Thank you, Buffy Chetty. Or now we deploying the keyboard?
Sorry.
So we need a suppressor on that too.
Oh man. Yeah, I can't throw the blanket over that one.
One more. The mRNA jabs use a single antigen, repeatedly the same one. A natural immune response involves response and B memory cells for multiple antigens. I'll take your word for it on the physiology of all this. I'm not sure, but okay. So whatever the mRNA is doing, it is less than the body's natural response in the development of natural immunity. So, but that stands to reason. I mean, anybody who seriously doubted that natural immunity was less desirable than vaccine, air quotes, vaccine immunity for scientific reasons, you're out of your mind. Yeah. But, that's what people believed. Anyway, we'll come back to chats at the end of the show.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
We'll leave them there. Appreciate all your super chats, everybody. Thanks for supporting the show. Mark, really appreciate you being here.
Remember that, Mark.
Absolutely a pleasure to be back. I wish you guys all the best. Have a great remainder of the show.
Great streaming with you.
We hope to see you again soon. You're welcome back whenever you'd like to be here.
Nice to co-host with you, Turless. All right. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Later.
All right. Well, we will be right back. I got to take a little bit of a break to reset, so it'll be just Turles and I going through emails and some super chats for the rest of the show.
Stand back and stand by.
Okay. Thanks again to Mark. Find his X account at Liberty M. Aaron, linked in the description if you'd like to follow Mark and all his many political takes and, I don't know, real estate wisdom and whatever else you might be looking for from the Great White North. It's good to have him back. Ready for, I got a voicemail, Turless, and we'll get into emails as well. Before we do, just a reminder, if you'd like to leave a voicemail or an email for the show, the way to do that is through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. And our voicemail, one voicemail in the inbox right now, that comes from Kaiser, and it's about the Cincinnati child murder involving mom and 2 trannies that we discussed on Sunday.
Hello, Matt, and whoever's riding shotgun with you on this Wednesday evening. I know this is last minute with about 4 hours or so before you go live, but I want to comment on the whole murder trial in Cincinnati with the 2 trannies. Make this exhibit, I don't know, double D on why LGBTQ, IA plus, ampersand, sword sign people should not be around children. This is just a disgrace. And the fact that the poor 7-year-old was tortured and killed, why is this even happening? Why are we letting these people near children in the first place? And it's a slippery slope when you have those drag queen story hours and having drag queens and gay people around kids. This is where it starts. Gay people are just, oh my goodness. Trans people shouldn't be around kids. There, I said it.
He's absolutely right.
Did you see this story on Sunday, Turles? Are you muted? Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Yeah,
I got Turles set up with my same kit, and he's doing the same mistake I make.
Yep, that's what I did.
Yeah. But did you see this story on Sunday?
Yeah, I did. Terrible.
This call, or the call from Kaiser, of course, is a reference to this story. So if people didn't see, a mom with a 7-year-old boy was living with 2 roommates. The stories describe them as roommates. Some stories describe them as women. It's 2 men who are dressing as women. It's 2 male to female trannies. That's the biological mom, not a transgender person. And there are 2 transgender people involved. They're all charged with murder for what was horrific. They're accused of torturing this kid to death, beating him. He died of blunt force injuries, but the torture, blunt force injuries, I should say.
I think you guys were saying it took like 2 months of torture for them to finally kill him.
They found him like in a closet, bound and with his mouth duct taped, and he was dead. So just a horrific scene. But okay, as far as the substance of Kaiser's call, how we interact with this legally and morally, this is really sign tapping territory. Okay, every child is the product of 1 man and 1 woman. Okay, so parental agreements different from 1 man, 1 woman, or arrangements, I should say, agreements with an adoption agency or whatever it is. But a parental setup that is different from 1 man, 1 woman should always be considered less than ideal for the child. For that reason, it takes 1 man and 1 woman to create a child. 1 man and 1 woman are best equipped to care for a child. A child benefits from 1 man and 1 woman raising him. And there is no right to children other than your own, even though they're trying to create that every day. So when we make these sorts of custody decisions, adoption decisions, I agree that alternative sexual lifestyles should be considered not in the child's interest. The difficulty with this particular case is, again, it involved the biological mom raising that child. And the dad was weeping in the courthouse, but dad didn't show up for 2 months to figure out what was going on here. So I'm not saying he's a murderer, but something's wrong with dad. So if we have biological mom who presumably has the custody of this child, on what basis would CPS intervene without a complaint? And I guess here's the question. If there are simply trannies in the house, would or should that be a sufficient basis to enter the home and start an investigation?
Well,
there's a reason I don't want to subject my own children to this sort of thing, because it's fundamentally untrue. I don't want to put lies in front of my kids as though they're true and normalize those things. I'm also very wary of CPS being empowered to start. I know they don't actually kick down doors, but metaphorically kicking down doors, because they, again, as far as we understand, this was like people living in the house without a criminal record. As far as I'm aware, they just lived weirdly. And for as much as I agree that transgenderism is really inherently damaging to children, living weirdly, people are going to say that like preppers live weirdly, or people who have, I don't know, whatever beliefs are out of fashion, that they're living weirdly. And all of a sudden we have this basis to intervene in these homes. So in terms of how this case, now obviously it's not even the transgenderism. The transgenderism alone in this case is not the only reason that CPS might intervene. He was abused physically for 2 months straight.
And somehow nobody noticed or cared enough to say anything, I guess.
So the complaint there would be justified to bring an investigation into the home. But let's say he actually was the happy, healthy looking boy that he is in these photographs, and it's just the living arrangement was very weird. Should the state be empowered to go into that home and say, I don't know who these weird trannies are, but they have to get the hell out of here?
Well, I mean, there's a way to do that, and that would require us to actually see transgenderism as what it is, which is a highly dangerous, highly acute, I guess, highly acute pathology, right? So it's like schizophrenia, it means you're somehow out of step with reality, which makes you dangerous.
I think that does make, this is not just living weirdly, is what you're saying. There is a pathological, there's a mental health component to what's going on here.
Yeah, we're not talking about eccentricity here. I'm eccentric, but
cowboy hats, Fauci impressions,
exactly. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about, like I say, a sort of acute pathology that makes 40+% of them want to unalive themselves.
No, that's just because everyone's really mean to them, like they are in this case.
Yeah. Even though the statistics don't seem to change once they get acceptance, but
this sort of thing is one of the most difficult topics for me to navigate what a proper policy could be, because on the one hand, I agree with Kaiser entirely. This is not a suitable home for a child in the nature of its arrangement. On the other hand, I can absolutely see how a heavy-handed child protective services system is going to abuse parents who absolutely have done nothing wrong and don't deserve it.
I
think you've hit the right distinction, though. I think that you have drawn a pretty objective line that could be drawn.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I think about law in general. It's not that like with almost any category, the question is not never or always. It's kind of just when, right? In what circumstances? And we have to keep re-examining those kinds of questions, because a few things are all that tidy that we can just draw a hard line between this and that.
Well, let's get into emails. Thank you, Kaiser. Appreciate the call. And if anyone wants to leave a voicemail, the inbox is open. I'll try to check back with that before the end of the show. Mr. Retard is here, and he says, I'm retarded.
Oh, well, I couldn't tell.
But this is a genuine question. I would never accuse a retard of being disingenuous. I'm not a Christian, but I know God is real. Why do I have to believe in Jesus to be saved? The whole ethos of the Messiah, word for word, was around before Jesus existed through documents written by men who are fallible. Why does having faith save you, but skepticism damns you? I've sinned a lot, but I don't think having faith and devoting your life to the teachings of Jesus absolves you. I think God should judge me. I know Christians believe Christ is God, but it seems like a proxy to get more believers to me. What are your thoughts? Well, thanks for your email, and I'm glad that you are searching, and that is how you find the truth. So good for you for asking the tough questions and expecting good answers. So I think the judgment on who is saved and who is not has some considerations. And I agree with your point that God makes that judgment. We do not. Of course, we are here to seek and understand his rules, and perhaps we have commentary on whether we believe someone is saved or not. But anybody who tells you with 100% certainty that person is either going to heaven or going to hell, if you're doing that with certainty, you are assuming God's role, and generally we shouldn't do that. You should focus on your own salvation first, but of course you should encourage and seek salvation for others too. But as far as why I believe that Christ is the path to salvation, it's for that reason. Okay, it's not because I'll be damned to hell if I don't buy it. Like I must do this or they're going to burn me for all eternity. It's because I am offered forgiveness for my sins and entry into God's kingdom if I do. I encourage you to consider the incentives, not the punishment. And you may say, well, how do I know that's true? That faith in Christ leads to salvation. Why do I believe that? Well, because those who follow Christ, in my observation, live the happiest, best, most prosperous, most fulfilled lives on this earth. I believe in Christ's teachings as they clearly apply and create success and healthiness in earthly existence. So I choose to believe them as they apply to the afterlife too. I find Jesus Christ credible in life. I'm going to choose to find him credible in death and eternity as well. Otherwise, if I reject that, I risk going to hell, of course. But really, to me, if I reject everything I just said, and really it's up to me and I make these decisions and what satisfies me is what's important. If I'm the one who defines the rules of what makes a good life, what creates this prosperity, how do I treat other people, how do I treat myself, how do I build a family, all that. If I'm the ultimate authority on that, like I said to start, I'm substituting myself for God. And based on the world works in observation, I know that's not true. For whatever questions I have about salvation in Christ and the Christian teaching and the Christian faith, I know that I'm not God. Someone else must be. I'm going to have to put my faith somewhere, and I have selected the Christian teaching as the most closely associated with success and health and prosperity in this life. So I choose to accept what it teaches me about the afterlife and eternity as well. I am not God. I have seen and heard enough from Jesus Christ to believe that he is. So that's why I choose that. But even though I hope and wish that everyone chooses the same path, I understand as someone who took a while to come to this myself, you have to know why. And now I can tell you why 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was Matt almost Christiansen, I couldn't tell you why. Now I can. And as long as you're searching, I have faith to the extent I believe this is true, that truth is going to find you. It's going to work its way into your mind and your heart. And the truth will come to you. You'll find it as long as your search is aimed in that direction. So God bless you. And I hope it gets to you.
Yeah, there are a couple of passages that come to mind, I guess. And I think this applies to you, Matt, that, I see this again and again. Jesus said in the Gospels to, those who are mine, know my voice, they hear my call, and they respond. And I think I've seen that play out over and over again. There is a draw to Christ himself that is undeniable, and he will do that work on your heart over time, and you will discover what you need to discover to get there. And it looks a little bit different for everybody. There are always similarities. I would just say, you're thinking about this kind of like from the perspective of why should the rules be this way or why should they be that way? And I'm not saying that that it's totally unfair to think that way, but at the same time, that's not the only way to look at things. I would recommend you really try to investigate what Christians say about who Christ is, and like from God's perspective, right? And what acceptance or rejection of Christ looks like from God's perspective. From your own perspective, it looks like maybe you're being unfairly asked to follow some particular religious rule, right? And it looks like checking boxes is kind of what I'm saying. But I don't think checking a box is really what we're talking about here. I think we're talking about taking a close look at the identity of Christ and what the implications are, what the consequences are of accepting or rejecting him for who he is.
Thank you, Turles, and thank you, Mr. Retard. Appreciate the thoughtful and challenging question. Speaking of, here's another thoughtful and challenging question from Laughing Boy. This one is a little bit long, but much of what you see in the block of text here is actually quoting my own excellent writing. So
I'll allow it.
I'm going to try to clarify what it means to become a fascist and how it pertains to the idea of, quote unquote, sometimes it's okay to be the bad guy. I'm going to use your words from the review of the movie Falling Down. It's where I got the idea of Bill not really being the bad guy perspective. So what I wrote in my review of Falling Down, I didn't go back to look at the date on this, but sometime 2024 and prior, talking about the movie's plot. It all culminates with Bill's arrest when he asks, I'm the bad guy? How'd that happen? It happens much the same way his breaking point happened. Small injustices adding up to a big one. By allowing ourselves the moral lenience to abuse others in small ways because they, quote unquote, deserve it, or because we have power over them and won't face consequences, we start the process of erasing moral integrity and boundaries. If small abuses are okay, over time, larger abuses are normalized. What an excellent piece of writing, me. Good job.
I still agree with me.
How could you possibly disagree with this philosophically, Laughing Boy? All right, so here's his challenging point. Eventually, a group of us on the right are going to have to meet the people on the left with violence. In Minecraft, on Call of Duty. That's my own commentary.
Yeah.
Raj Mohan. At that time, we will be called the bad guys. We are going to have to be okay with that. Just like Oppenheimer had to be okay with creating the most devastating bomb ever conceived to end World War II.
We got real whiny about that afterward.
If I didn't see the movie, so I don't know. And I don't know the history of him. I mean, I know the development of the bomb and the Manhattan Project and all that, but I don't know the details.
And that's historical. He did get kind of weepy about it after the fact, but. Yeah.
If I had to become a MAGA, or if I have to become a MAGA reactionary or a dictatorial person to help defend the ideals that built this country, then that will make me a MAGA fascist, and I'm going to be okay with it, because being good or being bad or good is all based on a perspective of your personal morals. Okay, now I understand where you're coming from, even though I have some points of disagreement here. I think that there actually is overlap, my own perspective, in what you're saying. So number one, I have to address that final point, and that's the biggest area of disagreement. Being bad or good is not simply based on perspective or personal morals, okay? Morality is not subjective. Morality is not something that we as humans define. There are rules in this world. We did not set them. We must obey them. Human life has a God-given purpose, okay? That's rule one. We didn't make that rule. That's the truth of the world around us. I could go on and on about why that's true, but I'm going to just stick with that premise for the sake of this discussion. And so to respect and honor that purpose is effectively the entire concept of morality. Okay. But I do understand what you mean about toughness and willingness to do difficult things, but when? And the answer is when morality requires them. And this is the overlap of our Venn diagram here. Okay, killing is not good for any reason, but it can be. Killing is only good when morality requires it. Defense of self, defense of others who are presented with danger, that sort of situation. The framing of this question itself indeed assumes a self-defense perspective. Our country is under threat by people who hate it and want to see its ideals and its philosophy destroyed, which makes sense. Okay, self-preservation pursuant to the idea that human life has God-given purpose, that is a moral concept. Your life, Laughing Boy, my life, Turles's life, everybody listening, all of those lives have value, and so they are all owed that respect of that God-given value. By extension, same with families. Same with your country in the way that you're talking about. And it should be defended against invaders who have no claim to it. But all of that still requires moral constraint, and it requires obedience to those rules that are set above you and before you. And I just want to consider this. I was thinking about these concepts as they apply to the In-N-Out situation in Idaho last week, or, a couple Sundays back or a couple Saturdays back. So the guy who intervened, if you remember, he was number one, brave enough to do it, like you're saying, Laughing Boy. But number two, he was what? He was disciplined and restrained not to do any damage to innocents. So he did what? He saw a threat. He described his whole process. He saw a threat. He observed what was going on, and he made sure he was precise with his response. He did not see what was a life and death threat at the time and think, well, too dangerous, and just start mowing people down with a machine gun. And I'm not saying that's what you're calling for, Laughing Boy. I'm just saying the idea that imminent danger means anything is justified is not correct, because we have an obligation to obey those God-given rules, to be precise with our response in force. So restraint is required to make sure that only these actual threats are eliminated. And then, to your point, Laughing Boy, the courage to actually make that happen. So what I do agree with in the way you're asking this question, where there is moral violation, and I agree with your premise of moral violation here in terms of the threat to our country, we actually have to have the courage to punish it. Okay. Right now, in many ways, we lack the courage to punish it. And I mean, in the everyday criminal context where we let people back onto the streets after they've committed crimes. I also mean that in directly undermining our country and being treasonous, effectively. Yeah. Now, following the rules in the way that I'm advocating, and perhaps you might criticize, Laughing Boy, it does not mean that everyone gets away with everything. It actually means necessarily the opposite. The rules must be enforced. We not only have an obligation to follow the rules, we have an obligation to enforce the rules. And I think that's what you're getting at. And on that, I agree. We have to be precise in our moral understanding, but also courageous enough to enforce that moral truth. And we're not right now. So I would agree with you on that point. And I hope that's enough overlap between the two of us for there to be some common ground here.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to that. It's like you say, I disagree with the extent to which this dips into relativism. I'm not going to buy into that. So rules are rules. There is such a thing as a just killing and an unjust one. There is such a thing as a just act in general and injustice. It's not just a matter of where you're standing. And also, I also agree with the idea, though, that and I kind of said something like this last week. We were talking about crime, and that sort of thing. It's like there is a certain ugliness to the enforcement of justice, and I'm very pro death penalty. I'm for a lot of things like that are very hawkish, very very strict. I think we're really soft on criminals these days, and I think being the bad guy is the correct moral choice a lot of the time, but I don't think it's being the bad guy in fact. I would say that it's just being the bad guy rhetorically,
And perhaps that's what he means. A lot of the question was framed as being viewed as the bad guy, but that's different from actually being the bad guy.
Precisely.
I mean, the Derek Chauvin or any other enemy of the Black Lives Matter hysteria is viewed as the bad guy. In fact, he was not, and they were not.
Right. So I would definitely maintain the distinction between merely what the left-wing activists are saying and what the truth is. And to this extent, I know why this is happening, because we've got these memes like, the Democrats are the real racists and whatever else. And when we spread those kinds of jokes, we kind of give in to the idea that we don't care about objective standards anymore. But I mean, we should. We still should care about objective standards.
The last thing I'll say, and I know, and you're right, there are objective standards that in fact are worth dying for, and that's kind of the meme about the principles stance. Well, there won't be any principles when you're dead. And I'm not saying you die for silly things, but moral truth is worth dying for. I mean, what do we call a justified war?
Yeah.
It means that we have been presented with some sort of existential moral problem that we must confront. And good, courageous men do, in fact, die for moral truth. In fact, we respect them for it. In fact, it's the reason we have something like Memorial Day at all.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't go seeking death for death's sake, but we don't accept living on morally false terms, subjugated to other people or, otherwise abused in ways that are contrary to the rules of the world that we're discussing.
Yeah.
There are, in fact, things worth dying for, and we have to be willing to do that if the time comes, at least risking it.
And it can, and that can be the most noble thing that you can possibly do.
Thank you, Laughing Boy. I appreciate the question and the thoughts on this. Venus.
That's disgusting.
Careful with that one. Your talk with Cartnark months ago got me thinking about other behaviors that are not illegal, but which indicate self-centeredness. So if people don't remember, the idea that you should bust people who are monsters who don't put their carts back in the shopping cart corral.
Those guys are hilarious. I hope they're still doing it.
But, okay, so behaviors that are not illegal, but which indicate self-centeredness or a poor ability to function in society. How high do you think this would rank? One of my female friends said she frequently has men try to talk to her when she goes outside, and she indicates she does not want to talk or ignores them. Some men have gotten angry over her, at her over this, which I find extremely entitled. Would you agree that if you start a conversation with a stranger, you assume the risk that they don't want to talk to you, and thus getting angry at them over that indicates an extreme level of narcissism and entitlement? So I certainly would agree that you don't have a right or an entitlement to a conversation with another person. However, I also would like a society that is friendly and polite and high trust, that somebody talking to you, a stranger greeting you, you would be willing to greet back, maybe even exchange a few words. But nobody has the right to that from another person. So if you asked me if I had to pick who's more wrong between the woman who ignores a man or the guy who gets angry that she does that, it's the guy for the entitlement reasons that you're describing. I agree. The only asterisk, the only qualifier I'll put on this is that, and I'm sure your female friend maybe is clear with her communication. A lot of women are not, though, and I can't wait till this gets taken out of context. But one of the most difficult languages in human existence is the different types of female no's. Okay. There is the actual no, go away.
Right.
And then there's the no, I want to be chased. I want to feel like a prize to be won. And that's also a very real no. And from a man's perspective, it's very difficult to separate those sometimes. So assuming there's no gamesmanship or gameswomanship here, then I'm mostly on the side of the woman in this situation. I do know that plenty of women bait men in and then get mad when men take the bait. And you can't do that. So hopefully she's not doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see plenty of that these days.
You agree, disagree with the analysis?
Well, yeah. Well, I mostly agree. I do think that I kind of, how can I put this? My internal process about this looks a little racist because
okay,
it's just I'm picturing two different kinds of men basically. I'm picturing the kind of man who's just like a friendly guy, right? And he's just like he's kind of flirting, but he's doing so in a way that's respectful of boundaries of her wishes, that sort of thing. And I think it's he doesn't have a right to her in any particular way, but she is wrong if she mistreats that guy. If she's rude and dismissive, I don't think that's charitable. I think that's wrong.
Do you think it's there's a rudeness in just saying nothing and ignoring? That's a rudeness that you think is a moral problem itself.
And this is where the tension comes in, because I think it depends. If he's, because now I'm picturing like one of these Pakistani guys in the UK. And
not all guys have the same entitlement. Is that what you're saying?
And I'm just like, if I were a woman, you better believe I'd ignore the heck out of them, because I don't want to make a connection at all, right? I don't want to be in a conversation. I don't want to flirt. I don't want to do anything. I want the Pakistani gang members as far away from me as quickly as possible. And so,
but that discretion is still her right. So if you're saying that some ignoring is justified, I mean, isn't that her? That's entirely up to her judgment.
And that is true. I just think, and so from an external point of view, don't judge too harshly, I guess. But internally, I think she knows the difference. I think she knows the difference between a guy who is just making conversation in good faith and somebody who's sketchy, who seems kind of sketchy. Like, it's her prerogative, but it's not against the law. But I think I just think in a society where we're all kind of on a level playing field, it's just best to treat each other charitably. I think that would be better. Yeah, I think that would be better than just always be, because this is actually the case in like Europe and other places. People are always noting the difference between how, the Southern hospitality, right? American hospitable attitudes are different from places like Europe, where they're just by default hostile. And it's like some stranger starts talking to you and they just say, get away from me, weirdo. I don't want to talk to you. I don't know you.
The points you're raising are exactly what I'm getting at too. How do you have a high trust society where people are more inclined to be polite, receptive, nice? You can't import a whole bunch of foreign culture that is not like nonsensical to the person confronting it and expect it all to mesh into happiness and politeness and the proverbial melting pot. You know what I mean? Like you can't just have someone confront a literal foreign culture, foreign concept. Oh, well, sure, it's exactly the same as everything I'm accustomed to. No, it's not. And you're going to react to those two things differently. You just are.
And trying to pretend that's all the same has clearly gotten a lot of people into trouble, and people have gotten hurt who might otherwise have avoided that happening to them if they had exercised a little more of this kind of discretion.
Speaking of getting into trouble, thank you to Venus. A mom has sent an email, but we're not in trouble, I don't think. Last Wednesday, you addressed a question of calling a boyfriend or girlfriend a quote-unquote partner. From a female perspective, I have a number of friends with partners rather than boyfriends. While they'd never admit to it out loud, what is this? What are you playing a game right now? What is this clicking?
Sorry, I'm typing. My bad. I need to throw a blanket over that too.
While they'd never admit it out loud, I think it comes from recognizing the shame that their relationships have not moved into traditional commitment. It's embarrassing to be 37 years old in a 10-year-long relationship with a man who won't put a ring on it or create a family and house full of kids while skipping the proper first step. Boyfriend seems too immature to appropriately describe these relationships, but they aren't married either. In my opinion, 1 to 2 years max as a boyfriend or girlfriend, and then get married or break up. Shorter time frame if you want to move in together. So in general, I think that you're right that that's probably a cause of the increase in the use of the term. Also, that there are a lot of these ill-defined or undefined relationships that go on way too long, and you have to call them something. And at a certain age, boyfriend and girlfriend seems odd. So that is a logical explanation to me. I'm sure that's probably true in many cases. But for the wisdom that is available in this situation to the rest of us, don't get into poorly defined relationships. Don't allow relationships to go on a long time without a clear purpose or goal. That's why it gets that lame generic title, is because it is in fact lame and generic. It might as well be a friendship. You might as well have a roommate. If I have a daughter someday, I will advise her of the same thing. In fact, I'll advise my sons too, but the leadership role is a little bit different. But in general, men or women, if you aren't talking about marriage within about 6 months or so, you could say a year, maybe 2, but a shorter time frame than is ongoing for many, it is time to confront and or move on. And you actually should talk about marriage right away, not necessarily that you want to marry that person, but are you dating for marriage? Is that why you're here? Because if the person you're considering dating is not, and you are, which you should be, you're just wasting each other's time. It can seem cold, or you think you're going to scare someone off by being too serious off the bat. Well, if you're serious, then you want to find someone who's serious. So don't be afraid of scaring people away. The only people who'll be scared away are the sort of people who are going to date you for 10 years and call you their partner, and you want nothing to do with them. So if only one or neither party in the arrangement is aiming for marriage, is aiming for family, aiming for children, then there won't be any marriage. If that's not the established goal, if that's not the reasoning and the purpose from the start, and it's going to drag on with no clear reason for existing other than convenience. And then your mom is going to email the show about how this has happened, and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Do we need to just really start going after common law marriage again? Is that reestablish that a little bit? Because that used to be a thing, right?
I guess I don't know the history and what happened to it.
Yeah, you don't hear much about that anymore.
But I would not be in favor of just saying by de facto these people are married. I want people to make the commitment, you know?
Sure. I just feel like maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way, but it's kind of like if you it's almost like strong-handing them a little bit, right? It's like if we catch you guys living together for 5 years, we are going to slap the marriage label on you whether you like it or not.
Okay. All right. Maybe I don't know. But yeah. The point is we shouldn't have, if you're living together for that long, you shouldn't have to be forced to make a commitment to each other. What kind of bizarre society are we in right now? But yeah, I'll take your point that without some sort of mechanism with that, making that the expectation, people are not fulfilling that expectation. That's for sure. Thank you, Mom. Piznam. This is responding to your Saturday video. The rent is too damn high. I agree with the majority of the points that you made, but there is an app that landlords have been using to price hike for max profit, even if it leads to vacant lots. There's currently a lawsuit going through the courts over this issue. The app allows landlords to work as a monopoly while bypassing monopoly laws that they are not in direct communication with each other. An AI breakdown here, or a breakdown of how this situation might work. If a landlord owns 10 apartments and rents them all for $2,000, they make $20,000 a month. If an app tells them to raise the rent to $2,300, they might lose a tenant and leave one unit vacant. However, 9 units rented is at $2,300 equals $20,700 a month. I'll trust your math on it. I didn't check that, but let's say that that's true. It probably is. The result, the landlord makes $700 more profit. That's not profit, by the way. That's, not 100% of the rent is profit. They have costs. And so they are earning money on this, but those are revenues effectively. So they're earning more money while doing less work, dealing with less wear and tear, and keeping a unit intentionally empty. Well, I guess in this situation, he's saying the $700 more is profit. Maybe. We don't necessarily know, though. It's $700 more in earnings in this hypothetical. Now, I'll take your word for it on the app. I've not seen the app, but I'll trust your framing that it's out there. Even in this hypothetical, though, the landlord is not at fault for the high housing cost in this situation. If he can fill 9 apartments or 9 housing units for $2,300 a month, that means that demand is sufficient to support that price. And the 10th will almost certainly fill at that price if 9 did. That, at least that part, independent of the app, whether he makes a rent raising decision or not, that's not a monopoly. That's not a conspiracy. That's market reality. And if he asks for too much and there in fact are supply alternatives, that means that if another guy can supply a housing unit at a lower price and still make money, he's going to do that because he can attract renters away from this guy who's asking too much. Now, of course, I'm not saying that all landlords are angels. They've never done anything wrong. They never could do anything wrong. I am saying that housing, like any good, is determined by supply and demand. And since everyone needs housing, except for those brave enough to live on Skid Row or whatever, demand is kind of fixed. And especially when we import the rest of the world to come live here. Demand is actually increasing. That's its own problem if you want to get these costs under control. What does that mean, though? It means realistically, to fix it, supply must be adjusted for costs to come down. So more housing units will have to be built. Deportations will help also. So that counts too. But to do that, what has to happen? For supply to increase and for housing to become cheaper, the government has to get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
And builders and landlords have to be able to make money because nobody works to lose money. So for whatever fault that landlords have in providing housing, and I'm sure some of you who have a terrible landlord are screaming that your landlord sucks, and I have no idea. Maybe he does. If you think that landlord sucks, I guarantee you the government will do a worse job of providing housing to you or helping the housing situation than whatever your landlord. Even if your landlord sucks, that's the whole point. A supply increase would allow you to shop elsewhere and get a new landlord. So we should all want that.
You know, there are certain issues that we have a lot of disagreement about different things philosophically, politically, all of that. But there are a few political issues that I would call solved to some extent. And price fixing, to me, is a solved issue. We know what it does. We know how destructive it is. And so, yeah, I mean, you can argue for different kinds of consumer protections if you want, but the consumer protections cannot be the government sets the prices, right? That at the very least, we have to agree on.
They're going to do it in New York. You'll see.
Yeah,
you'll all see.
Yeah, they'll finally make it work.
Thanks, Piznam. Get a load of this British cigarette.
Look at this faggot.
That's
it's literally a faggot, isn't it? Because that's another word for cigarette.
I believe so he's talking about the DSA, Democrat Socialists of America, and their success. I believe the lowest turnout for any vote is midterm primaries. The DSA candidates are doing well because the turnout is low for non-DSA voters. They are targeting the low turnout votes, and the news is focused on their victories and ignoring their losses. Remember AOC versus Crowley. I assume that's the incumbent she beat, but I can't remember. She didn't win because people loved her. She won because people are too apathetic to vote in the primary because they believed the incumbent would win. Once the DSA candidate has that official D for Democrat beside their name, then the Democrat machine has to support them because each House member is the difference between minority and majority. The other aspect that I think is possible, or that people are possibly missing, is that people say that they will vote for a Republican over a socialist. So more moderate Democrats saying they'll vote Republican over these DSA people. But is that just rhetoric? I would be certain that many will balk at the idea of voting Republican in a lifelong Democrat House. And if tradition isn't enough to stop them voting Republican, all Democrats need to do is say, "But Trump," and they have their party faithful being led by the Pied Piper. Democrats let the vampire into their house, and the vampire they're now wondering why they are suddenly anemic. Okay. Now, without looking at the data, I'm sure you're probably right. That turnout in midterm primaries is among the lowest turnout type of election. So I'm going to say both. Like, as far as the contributors to DSA success here, I'm going to say both. Like, yes, low turnout in midterm primaries. But I also think, yes, Democrats are moving radically leftward. And I'm with you that I think the claim like, oh, I'll never vote for Abdul what's-his-face in Michigan. I'm going to vote for Mike Rogers, the Republican. Yeah. I'm not buying it, man. I'll believe it when I see it. I think that these people will go further leftward than consider voting for a Republican. So DSA, whether the DSA success is maximizing low turnout elections or not, I do agree that the ongoing, you could call it hijacking, but I mean, in large part, they're working within the rules of the party. I guess their influence within the party is increasing. It's not decreasing. And we're going to have to see what the normie Democrat from 10, 15 years ago decides to do about that. I think you're right that the power of the D next to that name is more powerful than the questions that they have about the direction of the party.
You know, the joke's on them, though, if they want support from the party, because the party's broke and they can't support them even if they want to.
a Democrat in a dilemma about where to go. They're looking at that ballot and they're saying,
We're about to ride the D.
They're going to ride the D.
All the way.
Okay. Thank you, Odie. Jason, this is again about the DSA. Given that I cut this down because the question was based on the expectation of a Hong win. And of course that didn't happen, but there's still some substance to the question. Given that DSA members have previously only held seats in far left districts and have not had success with statewide elections, in fact, I believe this vote would be the first time, if Hong had won, that a DSA candidate will advance to the general election in the governor context. I believe he's talking about. It's quite strange they're attempting to take the governorship in what is quite possibly the narrowest swing state in the union instead of a state like Illinois or California first. They have had a good run in New York City, of course, with Mamdani and his endorsed candidates for Congress. But you're right. So far, they don't have, not only do they not have a governor's office, I believe you're right that they've not even had a successful nominee, major party nominee for governor in any state. California, New York, Illinois, those are all establishment Democrats. And so the question is why Wisconsin? And I would speculate it's more circumstance than strategy. I'm guessing Democrats just don't have a lot of extremely strong candidates in Wisconsin. That's why they got this guy from Milwaukee who quit the race to come back. And I think Hong is just the one who happened to run, happened to be the one DSA person to run. It was a weak field, and so she almost did it, or maybe she did, depending on what was on those USB sticks. But I don't think that the DSA party organizers who decide that we shouldn't imprison rapists and stuff, I don't think they sat down and thought, our best strategy for success would be to run Francesca Hong for governor in Wisconsin. I think that just kind of happened circumstantially.
Yeah, I would say so.
I wonder what she'll do now. I wanted to see that show, and I had one point of challenge in the Discord server. Shout out. I won't call out the person by name. Not that I'm calling them out, but I just don't know if this person wants the discussion public. But he said in the Discord server, I understand your disappointment that you're not going to get the Hong show.
Yeah.
But which I did want to see. But anytime a commie is defeated, that's a win for the country. And of course, I generally believe that's true. But I just wonder, whenever these DSA candidates are painted as this big boogeyman, isn't the other guy just like a slightly more veiled communist? I
think that is insanely true, actually. In many ways, I kind of prefer, kind of like you were saying earlier, actually, if you're going to hold a gun to my head, do it out in the open. Don't be sneaky about it.
Urban group member Glock pointer.
Yeah, because I think the best example of this in recent memory is Joe Biden's presidency, right? It's like he came along as just, good old Joe from Scranton. And then he implemented one of the most far-left administrations that we've ever seen. I mean, only really rivaled by like Obama and FDR. And 80-year-old Joe from Scranton may not have been who you expected to do that. That's probably why he, got a few votes. I don't know how many votes. It was 2020. It was insane.
The all-time record, 81 million.
Yeah. But still, a lot of people voted for him who probably wouldn't have if they thought that he was just AOC and Manface.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
We're the United States of America.
There was a rumor circulating that he died, but maybe he's just hanging out with Mitch McConnell.
Did the cancer get him? I thought he was getting better.
Hunter was saying that Hunter was on some podcast. It might have been Tucker. Where was he?
Yeah, he's been talking to Tucker a lot lately. What's up with
that? Saying that Joe's cancer is getting pretty bad. So who knows? Okay. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Be humble. And by the way, we're at the bottom of the hour. Since I'm going to be gone next week, we do have a few more questions, but I'm going to try to get through all the questions tonight, just because we won't be able to revisit them for 2 weeks. So I hope you're in for a little bit of a long tour, but if you decide you need to go, Turles, you say the word and I will complete.
I'm good. No
list here.
No early morning business.
Well, thank you. Be humble. 2 things about trans women being women. I think the WNBA might actually consider allowing men to declare for the draft and then conspire with all the team owners to blackball them and collectively pretend it's because they aren't good enough to play in the league. That would be one possible way out. Yeah. Second, you can factory reset any trans women are women chick, as in a woman who says that, by relentlessly insisting that you completely agree that they are just as much of a woman as any other woman, and asking to hear more about the story of their transition.
Fucking own, bitch!
All right. I hope you actually have done that. I'd like to watch such an interaction play out. Now, as far as the WNBA strategy, this is not something I had thought of in the way you're describing it when we talked about it on Sunday. They could blackball, as in all the teams could collude to say no. Ennis or Enos Cantor, however you say, and Royce White, you will not enter our league, but we're not going to say that publicly because we want to maintain the commitment to the idea that trans women are women, even though we know that you would dominate in our league if you came in here. So we're not going to let you do that. The difficulty with the blackballing is the incentive for a team to pick Enos Cantor or Royce White or any current or former male professional basketball player, they're going to dominate. So the incentive is very high. So the WNBA would have to either incentivize teams to blackball or punish them for failure to blackball.
And I think the punishment is probably the stick in this situation.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the incentive would have to be so high. Because what's the incentive for taking the guy? Number one, you're going to win the championship, guaranteed, unless somebody else takes the other guy.
And you're setting records and all kinds of things.
And you're earning tons of money. Yeah. You're going to pack the stadium. The TV deal is going to explode.
Yep.
So it has to be the punishment. But what stick does the WNBA have other than Brittany Griner's? How would they punish their teams?
I would imagine socially, but that doesn't work. You can't punish them socially for being more woke than you.
They're WNBA teams. How much more socially punished could they be? It's impossible.
We've taken all the abuse anybody ever could.
So this is actually a very interesting situation. As far as I'm aware, we still have no commentary from the WNBA commissioner or whatever her title is, the head of the league, on what they're going to do here. But the fact that they're not willing to say no men is itself hilarious.
Yeah, this is better drama than even the Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham business. This is great stuff because nobody really knows how they're going to navigate this. How are they going to square this circle here? It
girl
might
math,
just be
it's the only way.
Yeah,
they're going to have to rely on girl
this is
math.
the old Gordian knot. You can't untie it.
Thank you, Be Humble. Appreciate it. Next up, Lord Ragnar, concerning Sunday's live discussion about the sociology class in college. I mentioned it was freshmen compete to be offended class. And Matt P was talking about sociology and how bullshit it is too. I joined the Marine Corps after high school in 97, went to college after my service in 2003. I had to take a humanities class and sociology class in my freshman year. I failed both and didn't continue college due to that. Bullshit liberal professors and students. I just could not handle sitting there and listening to their fantasy world. You are better than I to pass that bullshit. Well, thank you for the compliment, but you served your country. That's very honorable. I did not. So thank you for your service to this country, and you have my respect and admiration for that. And in that regard, you are indeed a better man than I, although I did suffer through sociology. So thank you for recognizing my struggle. But for as hard as it may be to believe, during the entirety of my liberal arts education at a Portland, Oregon college, there really were only 2 supposed science classes that were completely unscientific bullshit. At least in my recollection. Maybe my recollection is warped, but at least the other social studies attempted to deploy the scientific method. So sociology did not. That was freshmen talk about feelings. The other was psychology, which largely was also freshmen talk about feelings. Though I think I was a sophomore or a junior when I took Psych 101. But that's when I learned that all the people who are psych majors are themselves deranged. They're themselves crazy, themselves psycho. So Those were the two most bullshit classes I took.
You know, I took a lot of, I went to a community college at first, and I took a lot of humanities classes there. And it was kind of interesting because later when I went on to regular old university, that was pretty woke, even though it was actually a Christian university. And there were some based professors, but, you know, university was very woke. But the community college, I actually thought had some really surprisingly balanced discussions about things. It was very interesting. We had the far left, we had the far right. It was a time, but that was a long time ago. So maybe it's a little different now, even on the community college level.
Thank you, Lord Ragnar. Appreciate it. Greywind 881. Jordanian illegal was caught with 8 Molotov cocktails and a map of the area in my hometown of Mokina. I'm guessing. I know most Midwestern town names, but I don't know Mokina, Illinois. So sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Maybe. That town being a shithole that it is, he was out the next day. ICE did eventually catch up to him. So I can't remember. We talked about Molotovs. Was that last week on Wednesday?
Yeah,
Were
last
you there?
Wednesday. Yeah, we
brought
it up.
Was this the context in which we talked about them? I don't remember. But there was a Jordanian guy, an illegal Jordanian who has, you know, the joke about a lot of Muslims, they have too many Mohammeds in their name. It's like Muhammad. This guy's Mohammed Al-Saidi or Al-Saidol. What the hell is his name? You can't have more than... I'm not Matthew Christiansen, okay? You get one.
Matthew Christiansen Matthew.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's like when the internet forced Macaulay Culkin, not forced, but told him to change his name to Macaulay Culkin. Okay, that's a traditional Islamic Muslim name, whatever, Arabic, whatever the term is.
Yeah,
but yes, he had Molotovs. Yes, he was being weird at a gas station that was closed, and police took him to an open gas station, and then he was found later walking down the street with 8 Molotovs, and he was arrested, and eventually ICE did catch up to him, and hopefully he'll be deported. But who knows? This could have been a terrorist attack thwarted.
So the limit was 7. Okay.
I guess, yeah. But he's going to be in big trouble with the ATF. As is tradition, they should snipe his entire family and his dog for what he has done with his unregistered explosives.
Yep, burn his house down.
Take his Molotovs and burn his house down.
Deploy the army, whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Thank you for the insight on that, Greywind, because I didn't hear much about this story. Why were we talking about Molotovs, though? Do you
I don't
remember?
know. I do remember we were talking about exploding Molotovs, like, you know, having some kind of explosive element to it, but I can't remember who it was who was doing that.
Dr. Raymond Edward Pittler. This is the guy with the Rape Hitler.
Rape Hitler is back.
Yeah. You missed the Cadillac specialist joke, Schrodinger's turtle. I don't even know what this means either. I assume it's something to do with Mitch McConnell, maybe? What's the turtle bit?
But Cadillac specialist.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the reference there. I remember the joke last week was about inside information that Mitch McConnell was in fact dead or something like that. But
I mean, Schrodinger, yeah. So it's like he's in that superposition. He's dead. He's alive. He's neither until you look at him, I guess.
Yeah. Lastly, our friend Joshy Boy has a question, and Joshy Boy says, over the summer, I've noticed that women's and especially girls' clothing seems to be designed intentionally provocative nowadays, as in short shorts, 2-piece swimsuits for young girls, strapless blouses, etc. I've seen plenty of instances where underage girls are wearing clothing that barely covers their skin, and the parents don't seem to really care about it. That is, until the wrong pair of eyes fall upon them or someone points it out. Why do you think, along with your guess, why do you think or suppose there isn't enough outrage over this? Do you think complaints about trannies or other malicious forces wanting to sexualize kids is unwarranted when there are a lot of heterosexual parents who allow their daughters to dress this way? So to the extent this trend exists, and I'd say, you know, I don't think that this is way off base. I don't know whether it's more common now than it has been before, but it's
been going up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the sort of stuff you're describing, and I'd say the reason people don't say anything about it is because there's almost no way to say something about it without saying that if you're not saying it, it's going to sound like you're saying that you yourself are observing children or underage people sexually. But as a dad, I don't want gawkers of any age observing my young daughter without enough clothing. My hypothetical daughter. I don't have news in that regard, but hopefully one day I'll have a daughter. Whether she's swimming or whatever she's doing, it's my job, and it should be every parent and indeed society's default setting to protect our daughters. We've long moved away from that. I understand that if someone abuses a kid, we don't apply the what was she wearing logic and say like that's what made it happen. The question though is, why would you subject your daughter to be viewed in that way? Now I sort of understand
who's buying the clothes, right?
Right. I understand why a 20-year-old college slut dresses that way. Okay. I understand exactly what she's trying to attract with behavior that is entirely hers because she is an adult making an adult decision. But to Joshy Boy's point, I do find it it's odd. I'm trying to imagine shopping for, say, swimwear for my young daughter and deciding on very revealing clothing. There's an oddity there. It's
this. I mean, I view this similarly, not exactly the same, but similarly to how I would view the food that you buy for them. Right? It's like you've got all the levers under your control. You're the one who buys the clothes. You're the one who creates the diet. So if the kid has scandalous clothing, or if the kid is overweight, you need to take better responsibility. You need to actually do your job.
It's like if my kid was abducted into a van that said free candy, a windowless van that said free candy. Okay, obviously the fault is the guy driving the van who kidnapped my kid. However, shouldn't I also teach my kid, hey, beware of windowless vans that say free candy? Like, I'm not going to put him in position to be potentially preyed upon by the windowless van. And I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to, maybe that's not a perfect analogy, but it can be someone else's fault. Whenever someone abuses a child, it's the fault of the abuser, first and foremost.
Of course.
But we as parents still have an obligation to protect our children from the abuse, not to create the circumstances of abuse or facilitate the circumstances of abuse in any way. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm overthinking this because it's like, well, kids at the beach, man, chill out. But
I mean, you know, when it comes to swimwear, there's only so much you can do. But yeah, I mean, it's not nothing. You can certainly, you don't have to. The girl, your tiny little girl does not need like a bikini or whatever. That's kind of ridiculous. So there are certain things that you can do. If the question, because he kind of touches on why isn't there outrage about this? I don't know about outrage, but like if your question is why isn't there more social pressure on parents to think about this a little bit more, I refer you back to the previous audience member who said y'all MFers need Jesus. I think that was Caleb, right?
Yeah.
In other words, that's one of the functions of church, to be honest, is to remind people, hey, don't buy your kids like revealing clothing. That's not great.
Whatever happened to fatherhood, man?
Yeah.
Relic of a bygone era. All right. Thank you, Joshy boy. Appreciate it. And I hope you heard the call to come back and team up with Mark for the entertainment of, what was the chatter's name? I should pull it up. The entertainment of Buffy Chetty. He requests your presence. All right. As a reminder, if you would like to leave a voicemail, email, maybe someday I'll get text messaging back, but for now that's gone. If you want to send a message like that to the show for consideration on the show, the way to do that is through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. And we will round it out with Super Chat and we will call it a night. Let's see what we got here.
Shout out to my brother. He's lurking in the chat right now.
Well, hello to Turless's brother. Let's see. Injured Guardian, use of babies' remains to concoct several types of COVID vaccines. That was part of it too, huh? The miscarriage increase, those two things added together equals wood chip Fauci.
Okay, kill him.
Alex Jones was right about him. I don't know. I should go back and listen to Alex Jones' commentary from, say, March, April 2020. Was he right on from the start? I don't know. I'm not a frequent Alex Jones listener, but it'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I don't know. Back in the day, the only thing I really ever heard out of Alex Jones was like the really meme-worthy stuff. And then it got real with the Sandy Hook business.
What do you mean, like?
I will eat your ass.
Yeah, or, tired of the putting stuff in the water and making the freaking frogs gay.
Yeah. Thank you, Injured Guardian. Tim says, holy shit, the most disturbing thing about the story of Samantha Grape was not the name the lady herself, was not the name of the lady or the charges. What was up with the news anchor introducing the story? Don't mean to be, mean, but what an unfortunate looking face. Do I have that handy still? Let me see. I'm going to mute it. I don't want to hear the story again, but let's pull him up. That is I don't know.
I actually love that. That's one of those very drawable faces. It's kind of great.
The park caricature, the guys who draw caricatures of people at the park,
that their job is already done.
Yeah, he definitely he has a head shape of a pizza slice, this guy. So I would make his eyes pepperoni. But anyway, all right. Tim is going to be a dick to this guy with the weird shaped head. That's okay. Tim also says, let's not forget Leanna Wen. Speaking of unfortunate faces, that saw mask lady, jigsaw lady, Leanna Wen, who said everything is reopened. Oh, if everything is reopened, what's the carrot to get the vaccine? Right. There was strategy the whole time. Let's also remember the attempts to bribe people with things like fries and burgers. One of the most annoying pieces of audio in existence. Not, in fact, the mouse clicking tonight. Bill de Blasio eating that burger and fries. Get the shot. Awful.
Yeah.
Just I could not survive living in a. You want to the ultimate torture would be sitting in a cell listening to that 24 hours a day.
If I get the jab, will you stop making these kinds of PSAs?
Fine, you won, Bill. Yeah. I'll do it. Just listening. Never do this again.
All right.
Taker, I saw Taker 610. I saw this story about Seattle's shiny new library, and wouldn't you know it, it's full of homeless people who are ruining the premises and threatening visitors. If only there was a solution. Yeah.
Okay, kill him.
That solves so many problems.
Portland's is the same way. I remember, and a lot of these public libraries are in these cities that tolerate this crap. But speaking of child abduction and child abuse, there was a story in Portland, I don't know, a year ago, I made a video about it. There was an abused girl who was at the library as like a place of refuge, and she was picked up by some drug addict who took her away and raped her.
Yeah.
And the library facilitated this by allowing this degeneracy. I'm not saying they approved of the rape, but there's so many sketchy characters in there that's just housing for these people that happened.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not quite as bad as that situation in the UK where like a girl was raped and then went to the police and then they raped her too.
I didn't hear that one. Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was part of what was the guy in the UK? The member of Parliament who's doing
it was
party?
The Rape Gang Report, but I forget the name of the guy who was behind the big thing.
Yeah, shoot.
Rupert something?
Yeah, Rupert Lowe. Rupert Lowe.
Right, okay.
Yeah, part of his report included that story where it's like, because presumably the police in that area are also infiltrated by the same Pakistanis, and they're all kind of a piece there. So yeah, she is first sexually assaulted, and then she goes to the police, and they say, oh, one good turn deserves another.
All right. Man, I'm gonna have to look that one up. I didn't catch that one in that report. Tim also says it's just truth to say that women aren't always clear with their communication. For example, when they say, if you don't know what you've done, then there's no point in me telling you. Or when they say, I'm fine, and expect you to know that they're not. Thankfully, I, not to get too personal, but I chose a wife who is fairly clear with her communication, so I don't suffer these indignities like many men do. I mean, to some extent, all women do these things, but as far as like the actual traps laid in that way. I don't get a ton of that in my life. This sounds like I'm throwing shade at my wife. I love my wife. She's the best one. She's the mother of my children, and I love her dearly, which is true. It's weird to say. At least she doesn't do. At least she doesn't do language traps. There are many admirable things about her, but I appreciate that in the way that many men suffer from that intentionally unclear communication. That is not a situation in my life, thankfully.
Yeah, there are ways in which men and women have to kind of figure out how to live together in a marriage. And so for men, it's like maturing is like having patience with kind of the ups and downs, the feelings of your woman. And it's like that's what it means to be a woman, right? Is to have feelings.
I guess, yeah, probably.
But and so men have to learn, and women also have to learn how to communicate with their man, because he's not going to pick up on all of your secret signals.
Yeah, that's the fair trade. You have to get at least an awareness of that and an attempt not to do it.
Right.
Thank you, Tim. Laughing boy, we agree. I just hope. Oh, this is about the email. Yeah, this was the one about being the bad guy and stopping these threats and to the nature of morality that we were talking about earlier. We agree. I just hope you are okay getting called bad. Oh, certainly. Absolutely. Yeah, on that point, I would agree. Absolutely. I don't give a shit if terrible. What's the saying? Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you clap.
What makes you cheer? Yeah, Skulldugger quotes that one all the time.
Right. So I am not. That does not bother me at all. Anybody who lives for the approval of people, as opposed to the approval of God Himself, you're doing it wrong. Never seek people. Don't get me wrong. Like, some people are morally square and their approval can be meaningful, but when it comes down to a choice that you have to make, seeking approval and validation from people, or seeking approval and validation from God, choose wisely. Fellow man is not the right answer ever.
Yeah, I can appreciate political expediency to some extent, but my preference, my default position is always, I don't give a rip. I just want to know what the correct thing to do is.
So he says, I agree. I just hope people are okay with getting called bad while having the moral fortitude to temper and remain just with our response. FYI, mics are directional. Turn it away from the desktop. We do have a new setup going for Turless. We're going to fine tune it a little bit. His pickup is where it should be, but we're going to have to tweak it a little bit so it's picking up less.
I don't know why we didn't notice when we were messing with it earlier that because like the I guess I just wasn't doing a whole lot of typing or clicking with the mouse. Yeah. Otherwise, we probably would.
I think your voice sounds great. Good job, me, in setting that up. But I did not pick up the clicks. That was my fault. Thank you, Laughing Boy. Appreciate your thoughts and your support for the show. Tim, stop boarding off that. Oh, springboarding, not stop. Springboarding. I can't read. It's that time of night. Springboarding off that renting apartments email. There's a distinction that people don't understand, and it pisses me off. People will complain, look how much money that business made, while not realizing the difference between profit and revenue. And I want to be fair to the emailer, because I think he was saying the extra 700 would theoretically be profit, not the entirety of the 20,300. So he's probably aware of exactly what we're talking about. I don't want him framed as though he's not. But yes, generally, not that email in particular, but generally, people will look at revenue. Okay, that business earned $10 bajillion. Right, but that actually is kind of meaningless if you don't know, or you don't look at what the cost of doing the business was, if you don't look at the expenses. And even still, you see a lot of complaining today about record profits, most profits ever, evil, greedy corporations. Almost always, record profits are expressed as a raw dollar figure. Okay, they're not percent. And that's another effect of inflation. Yeah. Of course, you're going to have record profits.
The numbers go up.
The revenues are also record. The expenses are also record. Now, as a percentage, are they larger than ever? And usually they're not. Usually they're in line with what they've been historically.
Yeah. And I want to appreciate, too, that if profits were up, that creates an incentive, by the way, for more building. and that's good, isn't it? That would increase the supply, give you more options. And I don't know why we never talk about that effect of profit. Profit is a good thing, okay? If there is profit in something, you will get more of it. So let's dispense with this idea that profit is an evil thing.
Even nonprofits have to make money to reinvest in their mission.
Yeah.
The idea that anybody is going to, outside of just purely charitable volunteering, nobody works to lose money because it is impossible to do that. You can't work losing money as a means of a livelihood. You must make money. Even nonprofit corporations still must make money to sustain their mission.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to your point, like profit, it's like people think wealth or profit are inherently evil. Wealth or profit achieved how? By providing a good that the market wants voluntarily? I understand the market itself is not complete as a moral concept because there might be demand for degenerate things like overly revealing swimsuits for young girls. You know?
Or
But
tuck-friendly swimsuits for boys.
But someone making $1 and then making a lot of dollars is not itself inherently bad. In fact, to your point, it's an indicator of building wealth, which is very good. That's human prosperity.
Yeah, we want more of that. It indicates thriving, whereas diminishing profit indicates entropy. It indicates we're moving in the wrong direction.
Skulldugger, what people don't realize is the men saying that they are going to join the WNBA are actually trying to save the WNBA from the WNBA.
Bingo.
They should announce their intentions that way. Yeah.
Is it worth saving?
Yeah, good question. Thank you, Skull. Okay, we're all caught up on our chats. Anything else you want to mention before we're out of here?
No, but I hope you enjoy your vacation and it's very restorative.
Oh, well, thank you. And I will be back with a video this weekend, and I'll be back on Sundays as well. So it'll be only a little bit of time away from the usual grind.
Before you finish, just checking if you've missed one of these super chats.
Did I? Okay, let me, I'm muted, but what do you got, Tim?
Did you grab the one that says starts with the mRNA jabs use a single antigen and so on?
Yeah,
from
we got that one.
Mal Daddy. Oh, you did get that. Just want to double check.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
No worries.
And thanks to everybody. Speaking of super chats, thanks to our super chatters, thanks to our live chatters, thanks to everybody participating in the live show to make that a success tonight. If you're listening later on demand, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to our callers, thanks to our emailers, thanks to Turless, thanks to Mark Aaron for joining. Find Mark on X, linked in the description. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance. Remember, we're off next week. Wednesday stream returns on August 26th. Sunday show will be on as normal. MattChristiansenMedia.com. Hope to see you Sunday.
See you next time.
Of the vice. She said it loud, she said it proud. No take backs when the camera's allowed. Kids hear it all, engine idling loud. Hatred in the tank, fueling the crowd. Rocks fly when the crushers get near. Double down, crystal clear. It's not against the law.